Hello, and welcome to Media-eval, a medieval pop culture podcast, where we talk about how medieval and medieval-inspired movies, TV, and books depict the medieval world. What do they get right? What do they get wrong? And what do they tell us about how modern people see the medieval past? I'm Sarah ifft, a medieval historian, and today I'm here with guest Megan Sunday to talk about fairy tale meets historical fiction Ever After. Hi, Megan.
Hello. I'm so excited.
I am too. So welcome. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and about why you wanted to talk about this particular movie?
Well, I am an archivist and I love historical fiction, and I mostly just want to watch this movie all the time. I wanted to choose this movie because this was a staple. I think on Twitter I called it a slumber party staple, which when it came out I was a little old for sleepovers, but my roommate and I in college used to just watch this, Dangerous Beauty, and just like on a loop. Those were our two, like our comfort movies. It was just, oh, let's watch Ever After. Let's watch Dangerous Beauty. It's very 1998. I don't know if they would make this movie today, honestly. Unfortunately.
I think they should, but
I think they should.
Don't think they would.
Yeah, that's a sad thing. And it's definitely one of those historical movies that I would by no means call myself an expert in anything, but I do like to read a lot, and I do enjoy watching movies like this and Dangerous Beauty, and going, anything with tutors and saying, I see. Those were choices that were made. My sister-in-law is an art historian, and so she's very excited that I'm talking about this movie, so I'll have to make sure.
This movie came out when I was 11, which means that it was like just right at that right point for this to be the movie that I watched over and over again through all of my like early teens-ish. I realized watching it today that despite the fact that it's been a few years since I've seen it, I am pretty sure that there are lengthy sequences I know by heart.
Same, yes. Yeah, I was 17 when this movie came out, and I remember it being in all the magazines. It was very like, Drew Barrymore is going to be in this big, the Cinderella fantasy movie, and just being very excited for it. I don't know why. I don't know why this of all things. I love Drew Barrymore, so I think I was just, she's doing it. Look at her. It's so feminist.
I don't know why it hit me. I mean, maybe it's because it's like, it actually is, especially for the 90s, a pretty feminist take on the Cinderella story. And so I'm sure that was an attraction. Other than that, I don't know what it was inherently that grabbed me. I don't dislike Drew Barrymore, but there's nothing else but I don't love Drew Barrymore either, right? Like, I can't think of anything else that she's in that I've actively seen more than once.
All right. I'm a big fan of the Charlie's Angels franchise for no good reason.
Which is fun. And I remember seeing them, but
I think it's also just it's a fondness for her in that she's always been in things like my whole life. I feel like she was always in the movies I enjoyed, loved E.T. as a kid, so was always obsessed. And I still like her now. She's one of those celebrities that if she makes a movie, I'm just sort of like, okay, like, go Drew. Even if I don't want to see it, I'm like, you go. I will like that post on Instagram and I'll move on.
Fair enough. I like her just fine, but I was never like particularly interested. Like, I wouldn't like see something just because Drew Barrymore was in it. At the time, I didn't necessarily have a particular specific attraction to this period. So I don't know exactly what drew me to it, but I just, as I said, like, I remember, I think I saw it in theaters, and I just was absolutely obsessed with it.
It's so ridiculous, but it's so good. It's just, I appreciate it because I do think that, while it's a very silly movie, it doesn't treat its audience like we're silly. It doesn't say you're silly for enjoying this. It says, no, like, please come into it's the real story of Cinderella, I say in quotes, but without being gritty, which I think is, the new, everyone makes those cracks. But I think around this time was when, especially in literature, the grimdark fairy tale kind of took over. And this was still a holdout of it's the true story, but it's really still very, very frothy.
And it's very much a romantic comedy in a lot of ways. It's just a romantic comedy that's Cinderella and takes place in the 16th century.
Yes. And I also appreciate it as historical fiction because it does an interesting balance of saying, see, things were pretty awful if you weren't, in the gentry at the time, but still but everyone's very clean and has all their teeth. And, everyone's still okay. Their household is losing all its money, but no one's going hungry.
Yeah, it keeps things relatively light despite some bits that could arguably be very dark.
Yes. The entire, suddenly there's sort of sexual slavery subplot comes out of nowhere. That's the whole... Ever since I first... it comes to nothing. It is nothing.
Yes. And it is able to work in this relatively frothy context, I think, because it comes to nothing and it's all very brief. Like, it's a very short sequence, right? And so you're able to move away from it very quickly.
And it's presented in a very... I don't want to say unbelievable, but I think that especially in a darker telling of this sort of story, there wouldn't be the kind of just the gross hair sniffing and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Things would have already happened. And in this case, it was just he's just kind of a mild creep, and she's good with swords, so surprise.
So it's okay. Surprise. I thought it was a surprise woman good with swords.
Then I really appreciate the sequence immediately following that when everyone comes in on their horses to save the day, and she's just like, "Oh, hi.
I'm good. I'm good. Actually, I saved myself."
Thanks, but no thanks. I'm gonna keep walking.
Which I was always very fond of, and I also remember always really liking the way that simultaneously the stepmother and stepsisters are great villains, but they're also, one of them isn't actually a villain ultimately, and Anjelica Huston is excellent and just plays this role so brilliantly. And where it's just simultaneously you hate her, but she has these moments where she's kind of sympathetic, and I just think it's a fantastic performance.
It's amazing, and she carries off the costuming in a way that I think a lot of the other characters don't, because, I mean, as with any movie, I think, set in this sort of vague time period of, it's sort of the Renaissance, so, okay. Right. A lot of the extras are just sort of wearing, like, crushed velvet, Joanne fabric,
Right.
And then she walks in, all headdress, all just the big jewelry.
She has such great headgear.
And she carries it off beautifully. She does, it's like, how can anyone born in this era, I think, carry that away? It's like, look at you. Like, if you told me she dressed like that at home, I would believe it. Right,
because she's good at walking in these dresses in a way that most of the rest of the cast is not quite there. No. Like, there's this, like, the bit at the end, right before she has her kind of downfall, she literally glides in the way she's walking in this dress, and it's like, I could definitely not walk like that in a full-length dress, like, absolutely never.
No, and she really embodies the whole thing. And even the end sequence when she's looking around at everyone trying to get someone to take her side, it's just such a great kind of like, I recognize you. Oh, no, okay, you're not looking at me. As opposed to, unfortunately, poor Melanie Linsky, who has to be the fat one. Right. Which is such a choice, especially like she's neither fat nor unattractive. Exactly. She just has a rounder face. It's the funniest part that, for me, I mean, quote unquote funny, is that it's only because she has a rounder face and the actress playing her sister. But so does Drew Barrymore. Right, yeah. But at no point does anyone imply that Drew Barrymore is also, somehow unattractive or overweight. It's just that, I think that they often do that now in Cinderella retellings, with one of the stepsisters being more sympathetic. I know that in the Disney version, in one of the sequels, one of the sisters becomes sympathetic. I don't know which one because I haven't seen it, but I heard that. Okay. I haven't watched any of the sequels. I've only seen the original. No, yeah, I watched that recently, the original, and my daughter was not impressed. Oh. I was just like, it's Cinderella, it's amazing. And afterwards she was like, where's Elsa? Oh. No one used enough magic. and the mice are great, but however...
Right.
I like this version does not have mice. It has Leonardo da Vinci.
Yes, I love the idea that Leonardo da Vinci is the fairy godfather. I will say also, I think it's really interesting, and this would not happen if this movie was being made today as opposed to 1998. I have heard of next to none of the cast, with the exception of Drew Barrymore, Anjelica Huston, Toby Jones is in it. He's the royal page who's kind of the spy for for her stepmother.
This was kind of the era of Doug Ray Scott, because he was in Mission Impossible 2. He was in this. He was supposed to be Wolverine in X-Men, but I believe he had to step down from that to make Mission Impossible 2. And then he just sort of... I don't know where he is now. I'm sure he's done lots of something that I just haven't seen.
Apparently he was in talks to be Bond, but then Daniel Craig got
So is everyone.
Right.
I think that comes around all the time. That would have been good. Yeah, and Melanie Linsky, unfortunately, had this sort of phase that sadly continues to this day, where she sort of became the also ran best friend sister after being in Heavenly Creatures, which is astonishing, and that she's so excellent in, but being a round-faced brunette just sort of got the, like, hello.
Yeah. The actor who plays Da Vinci and the actors who play the king and queen, like, they're really, I think, like, British character actors from what I could tell. So, and not people I'm familiar with.
The actor who plays the servant that she has to rescue, whose name I cannot think of now, is apparently had not aged since playing pretty much the exact same character in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh my god, he did!
Yeah.
I literally just watched that and I did not pick that up. Like, I literally watched that movie like a week ago. I've seen both of these movies
too many times. I don't know what it was. It was the same thing with the sort of that time frame.
Yeah.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves was a very specific, I was 13 and there were a lot of handsome guys in it. Like, Christian Slater was in a movie. I'm going to watch it. And I think it being a kind of, it's historical fiction, my parents kind of let a lot of it slide.
Right.
I suppose, I think I wouldn't have been allowed to watch, like, Pretty Woman, but Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, it's a historical, it's a drama. Like, yeah, okay. Sneaking around, that kind of structure. But yeah, he is the exact same age, and it was a little unsettling.
And yeah, that's 7 years earlier. And yeah, he actually, I think, looks younger in this.
Yes. I think he does. It's a little unbelievable to me that apparently this manor house only ever had 3 servants.
Right, yeah. Which is also clearly like a plot device, right? Is that they want to make a point that she's friends with the servants, but they don't want to have more than like 3 actors playing the servants, and certainly not more than 3 characters that they want her to actually have a relationship with.
It's like, there would have been, let's just say a couple more than that. I mean... And I get, and you're right in that you want to focus on a specific subset, but I think that you can manage that. I think something like Downton Abbey, which had characters you focused on, but there were always other people in the background.
Right, and I think they actually did have other people in the background.
In the beginning, maybe, in the beginning, you're right, before the father died.
Yeah, so maybe it's that she just fired most of the servants?
Probably. Sold them. One thing that I never understood from this, watching this movie frequently, was I never entirely understood why the Baroness married her father.
My theory about it is, and this is a theory that is not actually coming from anything I think that is said in the movie. This is a theory that is coming from social dynamics in the 16th century. This kind of slight downward mobility for women is not entirely uncommon. So if you're from a noble family, but you don't have a ton of money, maybe especially if you're somebody like her who's in this position where you're a widow with 2 daughters, that you then end up marrying somebody who basically, he's rich and he wants the prestige that comes with your title, but he's the one who actually has any money.
Okay, that makes sense.
And her father, I'm kind of guessing, is this like wealthy merchant from how he's portrayed in what we see of him.
Yeah, and I think it's because they never quite... It's always made very clear that her mother was just, a regular person, but they're pretty fast and loose with titles. And... Yeah.
So my guess is that her father and probably also her mother belonged to this class of people that you would probably still consider elites just by virtue of the fact that they are well off, but who are not titled and who are not formally part of the nobility. And often in practice, I mean, so one of the things that you see as you're getting into revolutionary France, and this is, I'm already, I feel like getting slightly beyond the area where I actually really know what I'm talking about. But my sense is that, so you have the kind of the three estates, right? And so it's the nobility and the church and the third estate, which is like the ordinary people. But the ordinary people who are actually represented in government aren't like actual ordinary people. It's that it would be like basically the 16th century equivalent of like Jeff Bezos. Right? So somebody who's like not titled, he's like not like the gentry, but he's like, he probably like owns a ton of land and is extremely rich.
I guess I just hadn't realized that was already becoming a thing, considering how much that is sort of still a new concept in even like the Regency in England and whatnot. This idea that you can just sort of make money. It was always a little bit like, how odd that he just found. But I don't know much of anything about France, so.
Yeah, it's very regional is my sense, and so England is actually not my area, and France isn't exactly either, but this is something that completely makes sense to me in the area I do study, which is Catalonia in northeastern Spain, is that it's very much like you have the urban elite who are basically like merchants, and then they like buy up a bunch of property both in the city, but they also have estates out in the country, and they're essentially this kind of wealthy mercantile elite, and that's fairly common in the Iberian Peninsula and in the Italian Peninsula already in the kind of late Middle Ages, and I think in some parts of France as well that is the case. Well,
this is clearly English France.
Yes.
Because everyone,
right.
It's the old French, everyone has an English accent, but we say French words.
Occasionally.
We say monsieur. We say Frank, even though they didn't have Franks. The only thing that's ever truly bothered me about this movie, and it's the silliest of all of the possible issues of this movie, is that that's not how the Mona Lisa works. It's not like...
Right, that it's in this, like, poster tube.
That it's a print that he bought at the store. It's a poster sale on campus, and Da Vinci was like, awesome. Yeah. Also, the whole calling him Da Vinci thing.
Right, that they're like, Da Vinci, Mr. Da Vinci, how are you?
I had an English professor in undergrad who, if you said that, would be like, nope, again. Like,
right.
She was one of those, you know.
Yeah.
We'd read his writings and a biography of him and whatnot, and if you were speaking in class and called him Da Vinci, she'd be like,
So we begin also with this frame story, which is this elderly noblewoman who is Jean Moreau. And she's inviting the Brothers Grimm over, and it's like, it's great because I love that she's like, I was a little taken aback by your version of Cinderella, and it's like, yeah, fair, because that's the one where it's like the stepsisters cutting their feet off.
Yeah, theirs is a little rough.
Yep.
She doesn't bring that one up. I appreciate, because I don't know who these actors are, and I can't tell if their accents are just very German or just very fake.
Yeah, I don't know. I should look it up.
I didn't look it up either because I was like, they're really nothing. I cannot look this up. They're nothing characters, but they are being so German that I can't tell if it's true.
Right.
I find it very interesting that she's just like, well, everyone sit back, get ready, because here I come.
Yep.
I appreciate how many people were in her chateau.
Yeah, she's got like a real population of servants.
I feel like when they have court scenes, it's like somebody realized that, they would have just had a lot of people around. Like when Danielle goes to get her servant free, it's literally just lousy with people milling around because that's what they did.
Yeah, so that actually, that makes me think that the reason, that the implication is that, like, the manor has, like, she's let go almost all of the staff. Yeah,
she must have.
Yeah, because there are a few other people, at least. Like, there's maybe, like, 10, 15 people, I think, in the scene toward the beginning when you have them first meeting Radmilla and her daughters, and then also when you have Auguste leaving again.
Auguste.
It's this, like... It's such a trope in movies set in the pre-modern era that if you have a good, nice parent, they will die so fast. Which is also a fairy tale thing, of course, and so obviously you have to kill off the dad. But yeah, it is very like, oh yeah, she's got a really nice relationship with her dad. He's really loving. He like brings her books, and it's also like this is a like Utopia is in Latin. So like he like taught her Latin, which is like awesome. Like it's not totally unheard of for a woman just of this class, but it's, you know, not common. So like he's great. And then of course he like has a heart attack and dies right after marrying this woman who is not totally here for this situation.
No, which is one of those just things that happen in movies, especially where somebody laments a living situation that is amazing.
Right. It's
I
like
understand that she wants to be in court,
France.
you know, but they're clearly near enough to a court at the very least, because Marguerite mentions just going. So they're clearly close enough. And just, this idea that she's lamenting being left in this beautiful manor house in the forest, it reminds me of Sense and Sensibility, when they're like, I guess we'll live in this 5-bedroom cottage.
The economic situation, I think, is interesting, right? Because the implication is basically that, like, her issue is that she is neglecting the manor. She's not, so, like, she doesn't know how to run a manor in a profitable way. And she also is presumably not doing the kind of trading that I am assuming that that's what Auguste was doing, and a lot of where his money was actually coming from. But she's still trying to live basically like the way she lived when she was, you know, as a baroness.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's like, how long did you think you were going to keep this up?
Yeah, and it's sort of astonishing to me that, and again, I don't necessarily know if this is true or if this is just sort of a modern assumption of the time frame, but I would have assumed that there would have, at some point, a man would have shown up and been like, I run, you know, I'm his manager, or I, you know, do this. And maybe that happened and she just got rid of them. But it seems astonishing to me that at any point anyone would have just been like, well, okay, ladies, have fun.
Especially because he seems like he goes on semi-regular business trips. It seems like there must have been somebody that he had on staff who's involved in some of that kind of local managerial work. Especially because that's the kind of thing that in some cases actually would probably in this period fall to a wife, but he's gone a decade without being, or 8 years, I guess, something like that. I don't know exactly. I don't know, however long, I don't know exactly when she died, but like young enough that Danielle does not remember her mother. So it's been at least like, I don't know, 5-6 years or something that he has not had a wife. And so, yeah, he really has to have somebody who's taking on that managerial role.
And the fact that I know it's meant to, you know, underscore that he's a good father, but the fact that he can cut down his business trip from 3 weeks to 1 week, it's like, how long is it going to take you to get there?
Right? Yeah, that
what
was
are we factoring in?
Right?
Where are you, and where is Avignon from where you are? Like, yikes.
I mean, I don't know exactly where they are, is the thing, so that makes it hard to say how far Avignon is.
It's like, sorry, like, it's going to take me 4 days to get there, so I'm staying 3 weeks when I arrive.
Yeah.
I always feel that way in any historical context whenever anyone's like, oh, I was going to go here, but I just changed my mind. It's like, no, you didn't. You're stuck.
Yeah.
You're
it's
going
like
now.
A week he's going to basically like get there and then have to turn right around.
Oh, on a horse. He's like, no thanks. She's kind of a tomboy, which of course she is. And
we get the big contrast, right, with her and the stepsisters, because they're very much like miniature adults, ladies, and she's very much like a tomboy, but also like a normal kid.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. And I appreciate that is a thing that comes up so frequently in these sorts of stories, though. The idea that at no point would he have, I don't know, like gotten her any kind of nanny. That he was just sort of like, all right, one wild kid that, you know, it's like.
And they have the servants who are like kind of taking care of her. Like that's who's like getting her dressed and stuff like that in the beginning. Paulette and Louise. So they kind of have that role, but they also have other things that they're doing.
Exactly. And like that's just, there would have been somebody whose full job would have been like wrangle Danielle, because that's just how it goes. Someone's teaching her Latin. I mean,
right? Like, yeah, because like her education is impressive, but it like feels like it must have been sort of haphazard. Because it's kind of presented as just like her father like shows up and like reads to her in Latin a bunch.
Yeah, shows her how to sword fight, and then is like, well, gotta go.
Yeah,
I do appreciate greatly that Gustaf is not a love interest.
I do too. I really like that she
They
just
don't
has this
grow
very
up.
consistent platonic friendship with a guy.
He doesn't have a crush on her. He doesn't, there's no drama with Henry later because like, oh, well, I always loved you. It's just, no, he's there. He's her buddy.
Yeah.
And that's
they
just
never,
how it
they
is.
never think of
like,
each other that way. And it's like, oh, that's nice. I like that.
I also like that they don't go the route of he has some. It's again like someone who wrote this movie had read some history books because he's not just like, oh, and I run a small business. He's like, I'm an apprentice and I have to do what my master tells me. And it's like,
right,
yep, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, Gustaf.
Yeah.
Good job.
But of course, the thing that is like the core problem of this movie, and this happens a lot in movies set in the pre-modern period, is that it's all of these people who are just shocked at the concept of having to make an arranged marriage.
Yes. Especially people
How dare you?
Royalty.
Yes.
And the idea, I'm sorry, Henry, but the idea that you're how old and they haven't arranged anything for you yet. I mean, maybe there were other ones that fell through. I mean, look at how, that happened pretty frequently. But the fact that it's just now occurring to them that they should marry off their son, the heir to the throne of France.
Yes. And I mean, we'll get to this later, but the real Prince Henri married when he was 14 years old.
Yeah.
So.
And I was discussing this earlier, actually, because I was talking about how I was going to be talking about this movie, and it's an issue because I think that there is this perception, and I'm sure you've talked about it, and I've just missed that one, but like, there are people who will tell you completely seriously that like, oh, well, 300 years ago, everyone was married when they were 12, and it's like, well, no, okay.
Right.
My ancestors were not getting married when they were 12, because no one cared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe the farm next door would have said, maybe someday we'll get our kids married and then we'll have a very big farm.
It's like the royalty and nobility who are getting
and
married,
even that was more arrangements, but not necessarily the actual marriage, to the point where if you read, contemporary reactions to, like Margaret Beaumont having Henry VII when she was 12, people are like, oh.
Right. Because even when they actually went through with the marriage, there seems to have been something of an expectation like, well, we're going to marry them just so we can kind of make sure this is all settled. But we don't really think they're going to, like, have sex.
Yeah, exactly. To where, her husband, I think, was, like 25 or something. And people at the time even were like, oh, that's unfortunate. That,
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think they were trying to find this balance where, oh, well, we're going to have everyone just thinking about getting married at what seems like a normal time for us. But yeah, I don't need to see Henry, getting married when he's 14, but also what?
Yeah. Right.
No one brought this up to you before. You're 25.
Yes. And you also just get to like wander around and have a
oh my
great
gosh. Time. Yeah, no one is ever watching you. No one is ever with you.
Occasionally somebody is, and then he's like, I send you away. And then Danielle's like, says basically that she does the same thing at some point. She's like, oh, I like gave my servants the day off. And he's like, and it's like, when have you had servants with you? You don't have servants with you right now. You have Leonardo da Vinci.
He's a man.
Oh.
Well, and then just the part later when they're like, oh, well, we're just going to go on our own. And I'm like, Danielle?
That's like not.
Are you just walking into the woods with this guy? Like,
right?
Better hope he marries you this time.
Right? Although I guess, like, based on her actual status as opposed to her invented status, probably doesn't really matter that much.
Granted, but he still thinks that it's her imaginary status.
Yes.
So I'm like, Henry, sir, to the best of your knowledge, this is a comtesse.
Like, I mean, Henry is, in my opinion, extremely gullible, because I think that there are a lot of very obvious red flags throughout in terms of how she presents himself. In addition, of course, to the fact that he met her when she was dressed in her normal way, and she like throws apples at him because she thinks he's a thief because she sees him taking her father's horse. The fact that she then puts on a dress and does her hair differently means he absolutely has no idea who she is and does not recognize her.
If you put your hair in a hairnet, men cannot tell you apart from anyone else.
It's a 16th century version of like taking your glasses on and off.
I mean, I appreciate that they were I think that the idea of being able to just dress up a certain way and fool people is kind of a forgotten thing, because nowadays, even if you have like a heist movie where someone does that, it's very easy to get your hands on a designer dress. Right. You can do that. You can, sneak it or get a credit card or borrow it or something. And yeah, that was a time period where, I mean, Gustaf is full on, like, if anyone finds out you're wearing this dress, you are going to get in trouble because that's not allowed.
That there are real sumptuary law issues. And that actually is another logistical question, so that every time that she meets up with Henri, she has a completely different dress. Where are they all coming from? Like, is she stealing them from Marguerite? Like,
yeah, the blue one that she is wearing that she ends up giving to the Romani. Well, so the guy takes her dress, but then she clearly proves herself to them, and they all have a great time and get drunk. And yet she still comes home in her, like, undergarments. It's like, Danielle.
Right.
But that one was Marguerite's. I don't know where the other ones. The first one is something that Gustaf just has, because I guess it was, like, in their studio for, I guess it's...
And maybe it was, like, something that, like, a model was wearing or something.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, because that's why she says, like, the shoes don't fit.
Yeah.
Which is the other big thing, because then Da Vinci is like,
he's the other one who notices.
Look at those.
Yeah. So her first excursion in her fancy clothing is because for her silence, the prince gives her a bag of coins, and she's going to use this to buy back Maurice, who got basically, like, sold into slavery to pay Redmilla's debts, which I'll talk about more.
He gives
later.
her so much money.
Yeah. He gives her a lot of money. He gives her the money for, like, a whole person.
Yeah. Like, Henry, wow, okay.
Yeah, it's just, like, a very, like, casual, like, this is, like, literally pocket change for me.
Yeah.
I'm that rich.
I'm just hurling gold coins at you.
We also, right before she goes, though, I do want to mention the breakfast scene, because the breakfast scene, I feel, is the perfect encapsulation of the personalities of all of her stepfamily. Mm-hmm. We have Marguerite, who is just, like, terrible. Like, she's the one who I think really has no redeeming qualities.
No, not at all. She's terrible.
She starts shrieking about her eggs into the bread, at which point her mother is basically like, stop yelling. And, like, and she's like, I was not shrill, I was resonant. Katya knows the difference. And it's like, are you a courtier now?
Yeah, like, I don't know if you know. Also, when she sends back the eggs, it's like, I think that's all your eggs.
Right? You can't send back the eggs in, like, a manor in the 16th century. You're not in a diner.
Like, that's all the eggs you've got, unfortunately.
Right.
So, no eggs for you
today.
Today.
Came from the chickens that day.
Also, the idea that the bread would have just been coming out of the oven as they were eating breakfast. I'm like, no, some poor girl, some 10-year-old was up at 4 a.m. baking that bread. It was Danielle.
Right. Yeah. Danielle's, like, sleeping in front of the fireplace. Oh, I also wanted to note the line of Radmilla who says, nothing is final until you're dead, and even then I'm sure God negotiates.
She's so good. She has
good.
So many of the best lines. And I appreciate that they, because of being a movie set, you know, made in 1998, that even in the flashback, the opening sequence, it's just, they just sort of, like, this is who this character is. They don't try to make her look super younger or anything. I feel like now it would be that CG smoothing, just because they'd say, oh, it's a 10-year age gap. We have to make her look super young. It's like, no, it's okay. Like, remember when we just, like, made movies and everyone didn't have to be smoothed?
Yeah. She's really, like, very excellent. She's very confident in herself. I mean, you know, she is somebody who we don't know that much detail about her life prior to this marriage, but she's somebody who, my sense is that the title like, I think she is, like, of noble background, but maybe, like, the title Baroness, which I think is a somewhat higher title, but that might actually come from the husband.
I'm not sure, because then it doesn't appear that Marguerite and Jacqueline have titles. And I feel like if their father was a baron, they would have. I feel like maybe Redmilla is the daughter of... No, then she wouldn't be a baroness. If she was the daughter of a baron, she'd be something else.
Right. And so that's... I mean, so in general, there's some things that I like that don't quite add up about exactly what titles Marguerite and Jacqueline are supposed to have. Because it doesn't make sense they wouldn't have any sort of title, but they seem not to. But that seems odd to me. It also, it makes me wonder, like, what is the family situation? Like, is there, like, a brother or something from a previous marriage who basically, like, told them to get the fuck out? Because I believe, like, because also, like, you would think they'd be entitled to something, or that, like, he would have made some kind of provision for them in his will. Like, it doesn't seem like he has, like, there are, like, dowries set up for them.
Yeah, whereas Danielle has one. And I appreciate that her dowry is her mother's dress and the shoes, because that's so... I mean, I act like I'm an expert, but that just seems so much more realistic to me than I think a lot of things would have had it be like, oh, it's all this gold or something. It's like, no, it's probably the most expensive thing her mother owned. And now it's the old Shakespeare, the second best bed. Like, that was actually a big deal.
Yeah. Because, of course, there are cash dowries, but she's probably somebody who, especially given the circumstances surrounding her father's death, that there wasn't necessarily funds put aside specifically for that, certainly. And especially given that, like, the funds just, like, aren't there anymore, right? Like, that's also the weird thing is, like, nobody's administering the estate. Did he make a will? If so, what were the provisions of his will? Because you actually would potentially see, and again, this isn't exactly my period, but in the period I look at in the 13th and 14th century in the Iberian Peninsula, you see in wills that fathers are basically, like, saying, I'm leaving aside 500 sous for my daughter's dowry. But then there's also, like, a system set up where there would be, like, an executor who's responsible for making sure that there's actually, like, that the amount of money he says he has is actually the amount of money that he has, and then figuring out what happens with those legacies, and then who actually has guardianship. As I said, I don't know exactly if this works precisely the same here as in the area that I'm looking at, but, like, a child who is 8 years old would have a legal guardian who would be somebody who's responsible for her financial affairs as well as her, like, well-being. She seems like somebody who should have, like, it seems like they should have had that kind of provision for her, given that her father is a wealthy man.
Yeah.
But there clearly isn't.
No. And just the fact that apparently at no point has anyone checked in on her.
No.
Because it's not as if they're pretending that she's part of the family and then once, someone leaves, she's just the servant. Yeah. But I think that's just the Cinderella element, because that's what always happens to Cinderella, is the moment the dad is dead, their stepmother just takes over everything and makes all the calls.
But that this is something that there are social safeguards to try and keep this sort of thing from happening. And, like, not that they're perfect, but that, like, it's slightly odd that there would be this much of a change.
I think it's just it's still this kind of idea that I think people tend to set anything that takes place before, like, 1913. Everyone's like, it was the Wild West, and just, you could do whatever you wanted, and... There were no laws or no one was in charge of laws or anything. It was all nuts. And it was like, that's not accurate.
Yeah. And I find it very frustrating because, like, I literally, like, I spend so much time looking at contracts. Like, that's 90% of what I do is, like, I literally, like, read legal contracts. So I know that they existed. And as I said, that, like, specifically when you're talking about, like, family and about, like, what happens when a man dies and leaves minor children, like, this is something that they're, like, very thoughtful and concerned about. Yeah. And I can't imagine that he would leave his estate and the care of this child in the exclusive hands of a person that he married 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Literally, that we're not even, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I'm not even entirely sure it was consummated, because Radmilla just seems kind of, I don't know, uptight.
And because he kind of seems like that. I mean, the first night, at least, that they're at their house, it seems like he's spending, like, half of it, like, reading to Danielle, so, like...
Danielle has to be like, yeah, you're married now. Shoo. Like,
he's
go.
like, I guess. Like, I really care more about being a dad, but, like, yeah, I guess I'm married. Whatever.
Like, okay, sir. That's actually pretty important.
Yeah.
For me, the most amazing thing of this movie has always been the incredibly fast turnaround on this international marriage.
Yes. So that Francis makes this compromise, right? That he gets to pick a bride as long as he does it within, like, a week or whatever the turnaround is supposed to be. I can't remember when this masked ball is scheduled for, like, but not very long, right?
No, they're supposed to. So Henry's big, like, drama in his gilded cage, which is his big line.
His life is so hard.
Is that he's supposed to marry this princess from Spain, and
Gabriela.
he does not want to do that. Even though it sounds like it's a done deal, yeah, his father says, look, you can have a chance to pick before we have this ball, but if not, then you're going to marry this princess.
Right.
And after there's, of course, the miscommunication between him and Danielle at the ball, he pretty much immediately is like, well, all right, here comes the entire retinue from Spain. Mm-hmm. Like, the king and queen are there. They didn't just send their daughter with, representatives. They are there.
Yeah. It all happened, very quickly. That, he's 1 week, he's like, yeah, I don't know about this whole marriage thing. And then he's like, nope, get here right now.
Just ship her over. And I guess, they are trying to marry her off so she doesn't marry that, nice, middle management guy.
Right.
That she's in love with. But just that whole sequence, and I get that it's supposed to be funny, but just this idea that she would have been that vocally, just crying and everything. It's that's awkward. I don't...
It's funny, Gabriela. Weirdly, but it is...
Yeah.
The way she sobs is funny.
I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know, what her parents were saying, but I'm sure it was pretty...
they're basically blaming each other, was what I caught.
Yeah. I do like that they again, as with all media of all time, it's if you're from Spain, you are a very, dark brunette person.
Yes.
It's why, first of
and
all, why would you're very passionate. Why would her mother probably also be Spanish? They always do that in these movies. It's always these are my very English, noble parents. And it's I don't really know that they would both be English, but all right, we'll go with it. The fact that both of her parents are, of course, just classic Spanish people. It's anytime they put Catherine of Aragon into anything and they're look how she's so dark and Spanish. And it's she was a redhead.
Right.
Who lived in England since she was 6.
In terms of who the actual king and queen would have been, I think we can say, for the sake of argument, our dates are as usual a little fuzzy, that she would be Portuguese.
Okay.
So, that's
But they're still arguing in Spanish.
Yes. They sort of, Francis and Marie, the king and queen of France, come off as, vaguely English, but they actually would have been both French in this particular case.
Okay.
Because Francois I is the first of, his lineage, of, his, direct male line to be king. He is, a cousin of some kind. And so he ends up marrying the daughter of the previous king.
Well, sometimes you gotta...
That's one of these arranged marriages that didn't make anybody very happy, as Henry is very... it takes pains to remind his parents, your marriage is shit.
Yeah, look at you guys. Wow.
Oof.
It's okay. Henry. They're both at that point thinking, God, I wish we had been able to, have, 6 more children at least, because this one. Oof. Yikes.
And of course, also, the real Henry actually had an older brother who died when he was, in his teens.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, that could have been interesting if they'd been ugh, fuck, if only your brother hadn't died.
Gosh, why do we keep that one? Well, it's I love when history comes, just butts up against whatever story they're trying to tell. Right. I'm sure much maligned by you, but much beloved by me, television show Rain, where eventually they were just oh God, Francis has to die. Mm-hmm. Shoot. I guess he has to die because he dies. Damn it.
Yeah.
So they kind of kill him off and everyone goes, aw.
Yeah, my favorite example of this of course, is I actually have not seen that, but the Tudors, I like how by 2 episodes into season 1, it's so you just wrote King James I out of existence.
Yes, because they didn't think you could handle more than one princess named Mary, even though one of them was a child.
Right. It's okay, I feel it's not that confusing.
If you read any book set in that time period, whether it's historical fiction or just a history book, everyone has the same name.
And I actually have seen reviewers complain about that. They're oh, why is everybody named Anne? I'm because everybody was named Anne.
Everyone was named Anne or Catherine, because if you had a baby, you'd probably name her after the queen, because you were being nice. Mm-hmm. And, everyone was a Thomas. You tried to read, Wolf Hall, and it's I don't know which Thomas is talking to me right now.
7 Thomases, right? I covered The Other Boleyn Girl, and I was I usually don't complain about there not being enough men in movies, but there's like 6 separate men named Thomas who aren't in this movie that the story would make more sense if they were.
But at least the Tudors gave us my favorite moment in all of historical television, which was Henry going, "Now, Thomas, you're no saint." Like, that's a joke for me.
And we do, of course, have that Thomas represented here, since he is, of course, the author of Danielle's fave book, Utopia.
I hope she doesn't, like, read about his family life at all.
Right!
She's like,
right!
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk more about Utopia.
Awkward there.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk more about Utopia later, and the ways in which, like, maybe she would be not that into Utopia if she read all of Utopia. But I also want to talk about Henri and Danielle's relationship, which begins when she's buying back Maurice's freedom. So he basically overhears what's going on. She ends up quoting Utopia at him, which he is impressed by, but then basically says, like, that book sucked.
Yeah. He's like, wow, great. And
he literally says, he essentially, like, all but literally says, because I don't care about poor people.
Yes. And that comes up so frequently, and he's just constantly, she's saying, look, I'm not asking a lot. I'm not saying you have to not be king. I'm just saying you have to be a king who thinks about all of his people, because your power comes from your subjects. And he's like, but that's bullshit.
And if anything, she's saying, like, you actually should be king, and you should care about being king.
Yes.
So at some point, he's like, I don't want to be king, fuck it. And she's like, you should want to be king. You could, like, make things better.
Yeah, like, that's your role. Like, that's your responsibility. Yeah. And if that's what you were born into, you need to make something of it. And he's just like, I don't know about that. I don't want to.
I feel like this movie ultimately ends up creating, for, like, 11-year-old me, very unrealistic expectations about the extent to which men are willing to, like, change and grow as people.
Oh, absolutely. But at least, I'll say that at the very least, all of Henry's changes just seem to be the result of actually listening to someone. And granted, it's someone that he has to want to make out with to listen to. Yeah. But even the decisions that he ultimately makes when he decides that he wants to start a university, he's like, look, I invited the Romani to our wedding, to this party. Like, that means I'm very gregarious. Like,
I'm a great guy. Look at me. I'm going to found a university because you're hot and you like books.
But at the very least, I'll say that I appreciate those changes more than I would if he was presented in any kind of, like, harsher manner. If this was a different movie and he was, you know, like a true asshole, I think, then I would. He's just he's just kind of a pompous kid.
He's like a spoiled rich kid, and he's never thought seriously about anything in his life.
Yeah, he only listens when a pretty girl tells him, but, I mean, at least he listens.
Right, yeah, you know, like, it's not that bad overall.
His dad is just always yelling at him, so I can't be too surprised. And they do have a lot, I like that a little later, there are some moments where he does mention, like, when they go to the ruins, and he says, you know, this is where my father liked to come before there were wars. So there is this sort of idea that, like, his father used to be a different person, and used to, maybe they would hang out more and talk, and then, you know, things got very real, and he had to do, you know, king stuff, and I think it's probably part of Henry's thing, is he's like, oh, I don't want to do that.
And it also provides some context for, you know, him wanting Henry to grow up to make an appropriate marriage, is that, like, he actually, like, he has, like, just been in a war. He actually basically, like, brought, like, in real life, basically, like, brought Da Vinci back from the war, essentially.
It's my spoils of war. I brought this old man.
Right. And, you know, he, like, agreed to it. Like, he didn't just, like, drag him by the hair. But he, like, you know, meets Da Vinci and, like, talks him, like, while he's, like, at war in the Italian peninsula, and, like, talks him into coming back from Italy.
I do appreciate how they're very careful to have Da Vinci be like, love is great and amazing. I will specifically never mention the gender of any person I might have possibly ever had feelings for. It's like, all right, good movie. Good for you.
Which, like, is, you know, is nice. Like, it would have been great if he was, like, openly gay, but, you know, it's 1998. They're probably not going to do that. I like at least that Da Vinci is not, like, specifically heterosexual.
Yeah, they don't have him, you know, they didn't just toss in some sort of lost love that is like, oh, and it was a lady. And it's like, I'm sorry, what?
Like, was it, though? Was it a lady?
I also don't know at that time period how, I don't know enough to know how openly gay he could have been anyway. Like,
it's like
frankly.
the kind of thing where you don't really talk about it, but everybody knows, I would say.
Well, I mean, he did have all those just guys with him on his carriage.
Right. It's like everybody basically knows what's going on, but it's like not polite to talk about it.
Okay, that's fair. All right. That's better than I would have anticipated, honestly.
Yeah. And like occasionally there's like preachers railing against homosexuality, but like most of the time it's just like, yeah. I mean, that's better than essentially it's like for a lot of the time for like the like wealthy men, it's basically like, that's better than them trying to seduce noble women if they're just sleeping with each other.
Yeah. I mean,
especially in in the Italian cities, it's actually like a big thing in particular that they're basically like, could be worse.
Yeah. It's like at some point try to get someone pregnant. Just please. Just give it a shot.
Like, once you get married, try to get somebody pregnant. But, like, honestly, the fact that you're not now either, like, getting pregnant some village girl and then, like, we'll have to, like, pay for this or whatever, and you're not, like, seducing noble women and, like, fucking with with somebody's marriage plans, those are both worse options in a lot of ways than just, like, the kind of tacit assumption that they are sleeping with other men.
All right. That's actually better than I had anticipated, because I really thought that it was just a sort of immediate, now you're in prison type thing.
Like, as I said, like, you don't want to be, like, too overt about it necessarily, but, like, as long as you're not, like, literally caught having sex, you're probably basically fine.
Well, I mean, at least he's out there just preaching love for everyone and
preaching love,
helping Danielle get ready for prom, basically.
It's also very much like this, their relationship is like, it's not quite like an enemies to lovers trope, but it's very much a like, she at least like claims that she like thinks he's an asshole and he's very into her. When they first meet, she's very like concerned that he's gonna recognize her from before, which of course he doesn't, and is like has this very convoluted attempt to like not give him her name. She's like says she's visiting a cousin and he's like, who? My cousin? Which one? Well, the only one I have, sire.
I'm waiting at that point. That's the moment where you probably just want to be like, I'm a little concerned about what's happening right now. Like, are you all right?
Right. Like, the fact that she's trying actively to not tell you her name is red flag number one. And then the fact that, like, every time he sees her, she, like, comes out of nowhere, disappears. Nobody at court has any idea who she is.
Nope. Although I do appreciate his mom being like, there are too many people for me to know everyone. Yes. Oh my god.
But like, even she at some point, she eventually is like, I keep asking people and I feel like she's like semi-serious when she was like, I was worried she was a ghost.
Yeah. It's like, I was getting very concerned about the fact that my son is talking about this girl that no one knows about.
Right. Like, because it makes sense. Because we even see when the queen eventually kind of meets Marguerite that she kind of, it seems like she doesn't actually know who she is, right? She has to like ask somebody in her carriage, what's that girl's name again?
Yeah.
But that makes sense, right? Is that like she doesn't know anybody. There's too many courtiers, as she says. But like the assumption I feel like she has is that like there are other people who bother knowing people's names, and that she could. Oh yeah,
that's why she has that lady in waiting with her.
Exactly. Like that's what ladies in waiting are for, is to know the people that aren't important enough for you to know.
I mean, and especially when you consider that there are so many people and they probably just, are continuously having more children, and it's like, oh, here's this new batch of ladies in waiting. Like, who are they? Right. Oh, God. Like, who are these ones? Like, when can I get them married to people and away from here? Like, oh, boy.
They're having fun. They go to a library. It's very nice.
It is. The monks are like, thanks for just stopping by, I guess.
Right. Hello.
I also don't know enough about when they do try to throw in history, like his whole thing about asking why Danielle doesn't go to church. Like, I don't know what that was about.
Oh, right. I mean, it makes sense, like, that they actually probably would both be at church.
And she says that, I my faith is better at home. And he's just like, oh, yeah, my father's edict. And I'm like, okay, which one? I don't know what that is. You're in France. Yeah. I assumed you were all just Catholic.
We have a lot of, like, fuzziness in terms of times. But if we base this on like when Da Vinci arrived in France, for example, we're still pre-Protestant Reformation. That's 1516, and Luther's 75 Theses are 1517. So I think there is an edict, but I think it is later.
I just like that they thought like they had to have a reason why.
Right.
Because everyone else is at church.
And it's also like it's socially normal that everybody, or that most people would be at church, even if there isn't an edict. So
even though I don't think the king and queen would have just been at their local parish, I'm pretty sure they had their own. I like that part. Yeah. And just that whole bit with the necklace where the page sneaks out the necklace, which why would he have been near her jewelry? Like, that's specifically someo's job.
Right. Like, what exactly is his job? I don't know. But he
just to run around, and he gives it to Radmilla, who gives it to Marguerite so she can pretend that she found it, and the queen is his base. I like that she's like, I don't even remember putting this necklace on. Wow, okay.
Huh, okay. I'm not suspicious at all.
I'm just dropping rubies all over town. I like at the end that Danielle is wearing it.
Yes, I did too. That was actually the first time I noticed that detail was on this watch, and I was like, oh, she just got the necklace now.
But I do like that she's like, wow, I can't believe I just dropped this incredibly expensive necklace.
I know, it's like, huh, weird, wasn't paying attention. And this is also, of course, like, one of the sort of beginnings of Radmilla and Marguerite's, like, aggressive plot to get Henry to marry Marguerite, which is uncomfortable.
Oh my god, that alone says that they must have some kind of title, that this is even a consideration, that no one at any point is like, shut this down. But just, she's so aggressively just like, hey, Prince Henri, wanna get with it. I don't know if I can swear.
Oh yes, you can swear. Absolutely.
She is DTF, and she is just like, hi. Here's
so, like,
this tennis ball.
And the bit with the chocolate where he's like, oh, you want to taste this? And she, like, opens her mouth and makes him feed her. I'm like, that would be just an immediate, like, get this person away from me right now.
I know. I'd be like, I don't want to do this. Also,
absolutely
where did I get bar chocolate in?
Right, yeah, that's the thing is that, like, the chocolate is, like, in, like, a bar. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, it's just... part of me just like it's those little things where I'm like, I don't know a lot about history, but I know that that's not right. It was like on the Tudors when they had Princess Margaret just marry some random king of Portugal, and I'm like, there was not one to be had at the time, ma'am. Like,
right. Well,
right.
Well, it's that like it's because they screw up the timeline. And so they can't marry, and so they screw up the timeline so that you already have the, like, young, hot King of France, and the old King of France that she married is dead.
Yeah.
And so they, like, have to marry her off to a king of somewhere else.
I do feel like in historical stuff nowadays, there is this tendency to just kind of treat Portugal as, like, a free-for-all, because people are like, I don't know, Portugal?
What happened in Portugal. And actually, in terms of the incestuousness of European royalty... It is
He's married to his niece, right?
Right, yeah. But it's also, I was going to say, so that sister of Henry VIII, Mary, she's the one who was married to the King of France, Louis XII, whose daughter is then married to Francis I. So she is the stepmother of Prince Henri's mother.
And then they wonder that there were issues, and everyone was dramatic. And I like how angry everyone is that he might marry this Spanish princess, but it's like, it's not as if this never happened.
It happens. I wasn't aware all the time
that there was that much animosity between Spain and France.
It's like on and off. I mean, I believe they are on the opposite side of these wars in Italy. At
the time, that was how many kingdoms?
Decent amount.
Who knows, Italy? Italy, what are you doing? My ancestors are going, I don't even know. None of it mattered. I will guarantee that none of it mattered to anyone I'm dimly related to, because we were all just on our piece of ground somewhere going, I don't know who's in charge of anything.
Yeah.
I'd just like some food.
Please don't let me starve.
Yeah, please. I will serve whoever is in charge of this region. Just let's keep it moving. And my family on my mom's side is Jewish, which means that they were basically like, yeah, I just want to be not killed or kicked out, maybe. You're like, hello. That'd be cool. Like, hi, how are we all doing? Thank you. Can we stay and not get murdered? That'd be fun. Thanks. Bye. And I like how that was still such even fully into, like, the Victorian era, where it just is sort of like, well, that's so exotic. Like, Jewish, you say? And it's
right.
like, oh boy.
Especially in England.
There are no minorities in this version of, of France, except for the Romani, who are just kind of colorful French people.
Right, yeah. So we've got the Romani, who are, like, fun, and they have, like, their fun episode where they're like, get drunk with the Romani. So Danielle the next day is, like, hungover and snarky, which leads into the scene that makes me sob every time I, an adult, watch this movie. Where, so there's this bit where, you know, she has the mother's dress and shoes, and when they first get it out, Danielle kind of pops in, and they're like, oh, we were getting this out for you. But now she's, like, been a bitch to them one time, so they're not gonna keep up that pretense anymore, and are, like, basically having Marguerite to try it on, or she's, like, about to try it on. Danielle is upset, because, like, this is her mother's stuff. And when she says, like, these are my mother's, Marguerite responds, yes, and she's dead.
Oh,
and
I know.
Danielle punches her in the face, and it's so satisfying.
Because it's not just, and she's dead. It's a full bitch, and she's dead.
Yes.
Like, oh!
Yes, and so that punch, and she's, like, chasing through the house, like, yelling that she's gonna rip her hair out.
Also, it's 1513. Legitimately, everyone you know has at least one parent who is dead. I'm sorry, that's just
She
the way
also
it
has presumably a dead father, actually.
Yes.
Like, Marguerite also has a dead parent, which is just not being discussed.
Like, let's be fair, everyone that you know knows someone in their family has died, because that's just what we're playing with here.
Right.
Like, oh my goodness. Yeah, that part is so rough. And then she holds Utopia over the fire.
Yeah, and says, you know, and basically, I'll give you the book if you give me the shoes. And then she gives her the shoes. And then, of course, because Marguerite is the worst, she still throws the book in the fire. And Renilla even holds her back so she can't even try to grab it.
Because she could have grabbed it.
Yeah, she could have grabbed it, and it would have been a bit singed, and it would have made it.
Yeah. Oh. Also, I don't know why they had such a fire, like that high up a fire burning.
Right, it's like a very serious fire. Maybe it's very cold out.
It could be very cold. Maybe they were boiling water or something. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice about that scene, only because I was reading the IMDb, the goofs, which are always hilarious, is that somebody has as a goof that when Marguerite is running away from Danielle, she, like, stops at the bottom of the stairs and steps back and keeps running so that Danielle can catch up. And I'm like, have you never seen a movie or a play? Or, like, that's just staging.
Right.
She can't just take off out of Drew Barrymore's reach.
Right. No, that's not how it works.
Like, she's got to do something to compensate for the fact that she's running ahead of her. She can't just keep running. Yeah. And just the fact that someone was like, aha, a goof.
It's like, no, that's just how it works.
Like, in the same movie where everyone is, like, talking about having paper money and, like, her Cinderella's glass slippers just kind of look like some slides you would have bought at the mall for your prom dress. They're just some sparkly mules.
But, you know, they're cute. And her dress is very nice.
Oh, the dress is beautiful. And I do appreciate that when she first wears the noblewoman dress, she's so uncomfortable with how low-cut it is.
And then she just keeps going with all the super low-cut dresses.
Oh my god. Then by the time she goes to meet Henry to try to tell him the truth, because she gets whipped after this.
Yes, I will say I love this scene with her and Jacqueline, because, like, Jacqueline's the only one who doesn't suck. And that first she's, like, you know, doing the, like, you brought this on yourself, but then she's also like, I'll never forget how Marguerite's feet went up over her head like that. And it's like, yes, Jacqueline!
Yes. And from then on, Jacqueline is basically just Team Danielle. She's like, I'm here, like, you know, we are gonna...
And that scene, at least, does definitely pass the Bechdel test.
It does. Yeah, because they're just talking about her punching her sister, and it's amazing.
Yeah. A scene talking about violence against women does pass the Bechdel test.
But the violence against women perpetuated by a woman, only witnessed by women, frankly. Yeah. I don't even think Maurice is in the scene.
No.
So, it's just, hey. And but the dress that she wears to go try to tell him the truth is so low cut.
It's so low cut. Also, okay, she's whipped.
So cleavagey in that scene, and she's like so upset, and she's crying, and he kisses her, and he touches her back, and she like has to shriek in pain, and it's so awful. But she's also just like, hello.
Right, she's like, hello on the
Prince
cleavage.
Henri, I'm here to talk to you.
Also, like, she just got whipped, and she's still, like, she manages to get into this dress, and manages, like, how long would it have taken somebody to do her hair like that?
Oh, her hair is always... She should just be wearing that hairnet all the time, because it's just the most convenient.
Right.
I think she got that from Gustaf's paint, like, his paint studio, so unfortunately she doesn't have access to it, but it's like, I, at that point, would just be like, nope, I'm literally doing that every day. If I had that much hair, because she, of course, has waist-length hair. That is one thing I will say for, like, the fashion of the time, is I would have just literally been like, when do I get to just... So I get to put this up when I'm married? Let's do it. Come on.
Right,
Like, I need this off of my shoulders. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I have not had my hair longer than my shoulders in, like, maybe 20 years.
Yeah. And I do... But I'm very, like, I am constantly just like, and now it's in braids. And now, like, I own, like, a snood because I'm that, extra. And it's just like, here it all bundled in. It done.
Yeah.
I do wish she'd had some fancier hair. Maybe some nice, like, from, like, the Borgias, just, this took 8 hours.
Right. Here's a,
That's
like,
another
inspired one of Radmilla's, like, headdresses one day.
Yes.
Like, giant headdresses. And just
stick it all in there.
That. Yep.
Put a braid around your head and just be like, look, I did it. Hooray.
Okay, also, I will say, so the actress who plays Marguerite, I think her name is Megan Dodds or something like that, if I'm not making that up. I have never seen her in anything, which I think is a shame, because I think she is excellent. Like, I think that scene with throwing the book in the fire, I think, like, her, like, physical performance is excellent. And also the scene after that where, so she's, having her, I want to say tea, but I think that's just, like, a weird English thing that's happening in my head, because I think it's actually wine with the queen.
Yeah.
And while they're doing this, so the queen mentions the name Comtesse de Lancret, and at that point, Radmilla recognizes the name as being that of Auguste's first wife, and so she realizes what's going on, and she indicates to Marguerite what's going on, and Marguerite gets up, walks
out.
Yes, and I love that. I love the weirdness of that. She doesn't do it right there. She gets up and walks away, but she walks 2 feet away. Like, she doesn't walk far enough away for it to not be noticeable. But she, walks, 2 feet away and has, a screaming tantrum.
Yes.
At which point the queen is like, are you okay? And, just, the, way she says then, there was a bee.
Yeah,
it's just, that line is hysterical. And I think it's such a good performance. And, the way that she, switches back and forth between these, courtier manners versus this just, nastiness, and including these, very, physically volatile performances. I think it's a great performance.
And even the scenes that we talked about previously, where she is just coming on to Henry, is done so well, because I think it would have been very easy for them to have also... Obviously, Henry is not super into it, but that is mostly, I think, just because he is not feeling her overall vibe. She's just, in and of itself, she's doing a pretty good job of putting all that out there in a way that... I think that a lot of movies would have made that more comical. Just very oh, hello, but she's very just hi.
And especially with the way the stepsisters are often portrayed, they're often portrayed as both being potentially unattractive and as being people that, men would find unappealing for a variety of reasons. She's clearly somebody who Henri is not into it for a variety of reasons, but that she is very appealing. She's very sexy.
Mm-hmm.
And that is absolutely how she comes off. Yeah, so there's this bit where she's, buying a brooch, and the guy's, at first, the guy's like, if I give you anything bigger than the one you got right now, she's gonna just fall over.
Yeah. And it's this big, giant brooch, and she just has it right in the middle of her chest, just hello, look at this.
And I love, actually, the scene where Henri, is like, oh, he's nice brooch. And then Jacqueline's got, a feather, and she just, sticks the feather, between her boobs.
She's like, hey, what are these?
I got this. I got the boob attraction, the boob magnet thing.
And that, and I'm as happy as I am that they do have her, end up finding love as well, and she gets to be, it's still so very not anything against the guy that she ends up with, who's sort of Henri's, buddy, his,
right. He's the captain of the guards, I think.
Yeah. Is who is always the prince's best friend in all of these sorts of stories. It's always inevitably. But it's still very much this kind of, they meet cute over the buffet table.
Right.
And he likes
Which is very rom-com.
It is. It always reminds me of a review that I read of the movie The Holiday, which said that all of, Jude Law and Cameron Diaz get to be the hot couple who, like, make out and hook up. And Kate Winslet and Jack Black are the, like, couple that meets and actually has conversations because, they're not as good looking. It's just
but
like...
it's also, like, especially, like, it's Kate Winslet.
Yeah, and Jack Black, especially that era Jack Black.
Yeah, like,
it's like, no,
bad.
This is fine.
Like, he's not bad. But Kate Winslet is, like, one of the most beautiful women in the world.
That whole movie, I love that movie, but that whole movie, she's just like, oh, I'm just so plain, and I live in this, like dowdy village. And it's like, your life is amazing. You just picked a really, like, a fuckboy.
Yeah. Ugh.
Like, go to America, meet a good guy, and then just bring him back to England. Like, just bring him back to your house.
Yeah.
So Jacqueline and I think Claude is his name, possibly. It's just still that very, like,
I think it's
they're
Laurent.
not the make-out. Oh, Laurent, you're right. They're not the make-out couple.
No.
They just, look, they found each other. That's nice. It's like, okay.
Right.
Still 1998. All right.
Like, it's nice that they have, like, the person who's presented as, like, the, like, not conventionally attractive people can find love, but it's also, like, they could also be sexually attracted to each other, but...
Exactly. Okay. Like, they're allowed to also make out.
Yeah, and we...
Although, given the kind of movie that it is, I mean, Danielle and Henri barely make out.
That's true. Like, there's, like, a few makeouts. It's, like, relatively... Like, it is a relatively chaste relationship in terms of what we are shown of it. What is this movie rated? Like, is this PG?
I think it's PG, and according to what Disney Plus told me, it's because of language, I believe, was what they said. And I think because people drink wine. Not because of the, the sexual assault that is implied, but rating system.
Fredmilla, now knowing what's going on, locks up Danielle in the cellar. And I do like Danielle's little clap back, like, what bothers you is what bothers you? Is it that I'm common or that I am competition?
And you really want, there's a part of you that wants her to just be like, oh, you mean the prince whose tongue was in my mouth?
I know, right?
Like that prince? Oh, you mean that prince that I carried on my back?
Yeah.
Don't ask about it.
He definitely touched my boob one time. It wasn't in the movie because it's PG, but he definitely groped my boob in the middle of one of those makeout sessions. Yeah.
I have many layers on, so it wasn't as much as you would think, but you know what? It still happened.
Right. Well, there's the bit where she's, like, in her underwear, basically, so...
Yeah, that's true.
There was definitely some boob
still
groping.
It's
voluminous underwear, yes, but it's, like, what we might consider to be a normal amount of layers.
Yes. And also, they aren't going to do this, obviously, but I mean, she probably wouldn't have had any underwear on.
Right.
Or if she did, it would have had split, so it's just like... there is this idea of the past where it is just so like, oh, and it was so sad and everyone was just wearing 18 layers at all the time and no one ever had sex until they absolutely had to.
Of course not.
It's like, oh, okay.
And I'm going to mention now, because we have a callback for it, is that so they are going to the ball. So Renmilla locks Danielle in the cellar and is, like, furious, and basically also just tells the servants, like, essentially she's like, I am going to, like, murder you if you let them out, if you let her out. And Jacqueline's like, it's only a ball, to which she responds, yes, and you're only going for the food, in one of the many weird fat jokes about a person who is not fat among, like, and it would not be okay even if she were, but also she's not. But there's a callback for that one.
And it's amazing, and it's my favorite part of the whole movie, but also, I probably would be too, because that food looked great.
Yeah, the food looks
amazing. It looked better than they had at home.
Yeah. It's like, I also would only be here for the food at, like, all of these parties.
Yeah. It's like, okay, this is fine.
Yeah.
I do like the part when they meet the Romani, who have who were in play earlier because they rob Da Vinci.
Yes, they're the ones who steal the poster tube with the Mona Lisa in it.
They steal his copy of the Mona Lisa that he bought for his dorm room. And it's like 8 sizes bigger than the Mona Lisa actually is, which I've never seen the Mona Lisa in person, but I mean,
but it is actually, it's small, and one of the things about it actually is that it's sharing a room with this painting that is this I can't remember the artist's name, something with a V, but it's this painting of the marriage at Cana, which is like, it's like one of those paintings that covers an entire wall, and it's like filled with all sorts of like weird details, like to the extent that it's like you like barely, it's like Finding Jesus in the painting is like, where's Waldo? Which it's a great painting, but it's also like, I feel it's like clearly set up because the Mona Lisa is so tiny that only like 2 people can look at the Mona Lisa at once. So it's like, here's this giant like weird painting with a bunch of details for everybody to look at while they're waiting to get their turn to look at the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, that's essentially what I've heard, and I think that is that's one of the things that my sister-in-law has always been like, that's not how the Mona Lisa looks, and that's not what it's doing, like, what's happening right now. They then basically rob them while Danielle is just, like, they get lost, coming back from the library, and Danielle climbs up to the top of, I don't even know what that is, it's just like...
It's like a cliff, there's a lot
hill.
of random cliffs.
There are many cliffs. And there are many cliffs, and she climbs up to be able to tell what is going on. Henri is very upset that, you know, he's not doing that because, you know, he's the man. And she's just like, yeah, whatever, dude.
And she's like, why do men never ask for directions? And it's like,
Oh my God. Yeah, every so often this movie is still just like, hey, what about comedy?
I know, right?
And you're like, oh, I don't know about that.
There's like the one historical joke that I'll talk more about later, but where his mother says, be careful, like basically like, be careful in making your decision. Divorce is only something they do in England. And I'm like,
Like,
I'm
not
here for that
yet.
one. Right, yeah. I mean, we're like a little off in terms of timing, but you know.
No, I appreciate that, and it's not just that that's only something we do in England, but it's also like, ooh, don't do what they do.
Right. It's like, that's not okay.
Like, ew. And that's the animosity I understand.
Right. It's like, yeah.
I just didn't know about France and Spain and all these,
Yeah, there's all sorts of animosities. Like, nobody likes each other, really.
Oh
and there's,
God,
like, I'd say, actually, like, in practice, there's, like, basically constantly shifting alliances between England, France, and Spain.
I think every so often someone in, like, a mountain in now Germany is like, hello.
Right.
No? Okay.
No?
It's like Anne of Cleves shows up and everyone's like, where are you from?
What's that?
You again? Where? What?
Protestant, huh?
I'm also seeing, because I was looking at your notes, and I think the reason they probably had that fire going is because all the tapestries have gone missing. So their house is very cold.
The house is freezing, yeah. Like, the tapestries are gone. The candlesticks are also gone. Like, so the fire is combination. Yeah, the fire is, like, roaring to provide light and warmth in the absence of everything that's been taken from this house.
It's like, oh no, we don't have anywhere to put our candles. This is unfortunate.
Yeah, the fireplace is like the one thing that they kind of like sold off because it's the only thing that, like, you know, it's like oh well, it doesn't come out, so, you know, it's gonna stay where it is, I guess.
We were gonna try, but Danielle is told by the head of the Romani that she could take anything that she can carry, so she hikes Henri up on her back. And everyone is so charmed that they're like, okay, like, come and party with us. But I always love that scene. That's always one of my favorites.
It's very charming.
I also like that it's not easy. Like, this is clearly, like, an effort on her part. She's like, all right, I'm doing this. But she's also lifting, like, Doug Ray Scott, who's a solid dude.
I mean, I didn't look up any details about, like, the stunts or anything for this movie, but, like, it looks like it actually is, like, Drew Barrymore lifting Doug Ray Scott onto her back. Yeah, which, like, you know, she is noticeably smaller than he is.
Yeah, like, she's tiny. I think they made lots of jokes about that on Santa Clarita Diet, because she was, you know, a zombie. And it was like, but you're so little. Like, what are you gonna do? But yeah, it was that's when they party. The next day she is hungover and grumpy. I like that's what leads Radmilla to kind of start to figure things out, because the queen says, oh, you know, my son snuck out the other night and he was out until dawn. And she's like, I know someone else who was out until dawn.
Interesting. Leonardo da Vinci is the fairy godmother because her friend Gustaf, who, again, as we talked about earlier, never has a single moment where he's, like, jealous. Like, he is totally on, like, team, like, get Danielle with the prince. At some point, he even forces, like, an interaction between them that she's like, oh, no, I don't have a crush on him. And he's like, uh-huh. And then Henri shows up, and Gustaf's like, she's staying here and she's alone right now.
Like, if you went to her house, which is this house at this address, then you would totally
find
see her.
Yeah.
You guys could hang out, just saying.
Yeah. So he goes and fetches Da Vinci. He also, in doing so, because he needs to, like, steal a uniform to get into the party, does throw a pot at the, or drop a pot upon the head of the our spy, Toby Jones. I assume just knocks him out. We don't see him again. He might be dead.
Yeah! He never comes back. He does not receive any punishment for being a spy. He is simply gone. So yeah, I think he might have killed him.
Right.
Gustaf might have killed a man, but, you know.
Yeah, so he might be dead, but that's okay.
I do appreciate, though, the scene that when Toby Jones brings, I believe it's when he brings her, maybe the necklace, or no, maybe at some point when he's bringing her information, when Ramilla's doing the whole, like, oh, and then one day, you and I, and her daughters are both just like, oh. Like,
right? And it's also like, dude, you don't believe her, you.
Like, you don't really think that this is gonna happen. Like, this is not gonna happen.
It's like,
but I appreciate that she's doing that in front of her daughters, and even Marguerite is like, ew.
I know.
Mom.
But it's also like, this is where Marguerite learned it from, right? Like,
oh yeah.
It's also like, oh, Auguste, she probably did that on Auguste, and he probably fell for it.
Yeah, I mean, he was, you know, he had that, like, he had that bowl cut.
Yeah. He was a nice man.
That's what they did. He was. And he was a good dad.
Yeah.
And he probably would have been a very good husband if you were not a horrible bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Let's be honest.
And honestly, if he just wasn't dead, like, I feel like I actually could see, I think she would have been somewhat problematic long term, because I think she would have been kind of pressuring him to spend money on things that he was not up for spending money on.
Yes.
But I think that, like, he clearly was making money, because, like, thinking about it, like, if we just, like, take for the sake of argument that the economics of this make even the smallest amount of sense, there was enough wealth to basically, like, live off of for a decade. Mm-hmm. Which is, like, doing very little to make money, except, like, selling some vegetables.
Yeah.
And occasionally selling off household goods, as we'll get into the details.
It doesn't appear to be, they don't have serfs or anything. You know, they're not. Yeah, and it's also, I think, extra sad because both Auguste and Danielle it's like the most perfectly situated family to become a step-parent in. Yeah. Because Danielle is super excited to get a mom.
Right, because she was so young when her mother died that, like,
there's no idea that, oh, you're going to interfere. She's the one who, like we said, is just like, well, now you're married. Like, yay, I get a mom, I get sisters. And he seems like, a pretty good dude who isn't absurdly, we don't see it, but not, hung up on his wife or his late wife or anything. So ultimately, it does seem like the situation you would want to be the second wife in. It's like, oh, I get this great husband, he's making money, got this nice house, the stepdaughter's adorable.
And she's also very eager to please. I mean, and that's, I think, very much the context behind the fact that she basically accepted being, like, made into a servant in her own home, is that, like, she was just always, like, extremely eager to please this woman who, as, like, we'll talk about, but, like, she's basically, like, you're the closest thing I've ever had to a mom. Yeah.
And, like, this is all I've ever wanted to do was try to make you happy. Like, I just wanted you to like me. She also, has her big plan is, she tells Gustaf at one point, like, look, if Marguerite marries the prince, they're all gonna get the hell out of my house.
Yeah, and, like, I can run the manor and they'll leave me alone.
Which is not accurate whatsoever. That is not what would happen. But
they would sell
it's a good
off
dream.
The manor.
It's a good dream, Danielle.
Yeah. No, they would sell off the manor and you on the basis of this movie.
The party is a masquerade party. I don't know how prevalent those have ever been throughout time. I don't know.
They existed, at least.
Fine. Okay,
they existed, at least. Yeah. Henry VIII actually had a whole thing where he, like...
Oh, yeah. He was
like, showed up masked at things. He's like, nobody knows who I am. And it's like, everybody knows who you fucking are.
I love that was always his, like, thing, which... Even before, kind of the cliche classic, like, old, fat Henry, it's like, dude, you're still easily one of the tallest people here.
Right. It's like, they know who you are.
Red hair.
Yeah. Everybody knows.
You're dressed like the king.
Uh-huh. With, like, a mask on. It's like, they know who you are. They figured it out.
It's like, you're not you're actively not fooling anyone. And
Right.
the thing is that if this isn't a situation where we're supposed to know it's you and we're pretending. You legitimately think you're fooling us.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a masked ball. We have Marguerite in her peacock getup and Jacqueline as the horse, which she's annoyed
One
by.
of
But
God's noble creatures.
Yes, and it leads to the meet cute with Laurent because he is also dressed as a horse, so they like neigh at each other.
Yeah. And he's just like eating a carrot, a whole carrot.
Like he's like way into it. He's like, yeah, no, this is who I'm meant to be.
Henri learns from his mother that Nicole is engaged, and that's what she was trying to tell him that day. Belgium did not exist.
Right.
But she's engaged to a Belgian.
It's
from
because
the future.
like what actually would have made sense in context to talk about somebody like from that region probably would have been to like say like to a Flemishman. Or a Fleming, I guess, is the actual term. And they're like, we can't say Fleming. We just can't. We can't fucking do that. We cannot in this movie say it. She's engaged to a Fleming.
Because everyone's going to go, I'm sorry, what?
She's engaged to a what?
And because that sounds so vaguely insulting, since it's not something we say anymore, that you'd be like, a what? Can you say that? Like,
right.
yes, actually, that just me.
Yeah, I mean, especially in America, right? Where, like, we don't pay attention to, like, the differences between people in Belgium. Like, we don't pay attention to the fact that there's still, like, a Flemish, like, that there's still, like, a different language that isn't French spoken in Belgium, and that, like, that's a thing. Like, nobody knows that. The same as, like, how everyone's, like, shocked when I tell them, like, yeah, I mean, I study what is now Spain, and I very rarely actually have to speak Spanish because everybody actually prefers Catalan.
And they're just going, I'm sorry, what?
Right, and it's like,
beg your pardon?
Like, I spoke Spanish, like, 2 times in my 3 months that I was here.
Well, it's also like how, people see older documents and I do not see anything this old, but people are consistently surprised that things aren't just all in English or French. Right. It's like, no, it's Latin.
It's Latin.
Like,
yeah.
That's... Yeah. Or just the thing that that endlessly entertains people that I see a lot at my job with old medical texts is that there is no consistent spelling of things, and everyone was fine with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you spelled surgery whatever way you thought was appropriate that day.
Mm-hmm. It's very annoying.
And yes, it is. It is when I go through books and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about right now. I don't speak German, but I can usually figure it out. But I don't know what this word is. You've made it up.
Yes.
You invented this. Also, the medicine that you were discussing is wrong because this book is from 1587 and I don't know what is happening.
Yeah, no, they're not good. But they do have some very complicated urine charts, which are something.
So complicated.
Oh my god, there are so many colors.
The best is anything that is like this graph, like this picture that I'm drawing you, is about how people get, migraine headaches. But I will put an angel and a salamander in the same picture because obviously there is something going on with the humors and maybe the angels are, you're feeling that, and there's also fire, and you're like, no, what?
Right.
It's like, Leonardo da Vinci, all these amazing inventions, amazing things, also thought erections came from like your lungs.
Right. Yeah. And
air. It's like,
they thought that your like when you like nursed your children as a woman that was like your menstrual blood and it like frothed up a lot. So like,
I love any painting, any medieval painting involving breastfeeding. Because it's like you had to have seen this happen.
They don't know what breasts look like. I mean, they like right like
they
it's
don't
like
know what breasts looks like.
They're like
know
little
what babies
flaps
look like.
coming out of the collarbone.
There is just a full-grown. There's a small man on your lap, and you are just flipping out a completely flat breast
like
from the top of your
boobs.
Collarbone, and you're just spraying milk into this very small man's mouth from several feet away.
Yeah.
It's like, I guarantee that you have seen a woman nurse a baby because that's all they could do at that time.
Right.
There was no other option.
You've probably seen that, but yeah, no.
I don't understand why this is happening. And I get that it's an art style, but if you can draw a person, I assume you could look at a person. I get if you've never seen a lion and you're like, I'm making this up for this painting, fine. But then you see ones that's like a horse, and you're like, no, you've seen a horse. I know you have. Right.
There are some really poor, like, Renaissance horses.
God. So there was probably a horse you could have gone to look at.
Right. I
guarantee.
Seen a horse.
I mean, Gustaf apparently is a good painter, but we only see him painting, like, hay.
Yeah, but yeah, like the prince says he likes his painting. Like Da Vinci is gonna go see his paintings.
I like that he's just when Leonardo da Vinci travels, he brings his entire just sort of lab art studio.
Right.
Because the montage where he's painting the portrait of Danielle that we see in the beginning, it's just very much like, oh, he just brought all that with him? Wow, okay.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he's there for like 3 years.
Yeah, you've got to bring everything.
Yeah. Yeah, like he dies in France, like, so.
That's right, that's true.
He shows up and he removes the hinges, which lets her out of the cell. She tells him basically what's really going on. He's like, no, it's good. Like, the prince is going to be really understanding. Generous there.
Because he does point out, she says, well, you know, I'm just a servant. And he says, well, I'm a bastard.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a bastard son of a peasant. Who cares?
That's why I don't have a last name. That's why people just know where I'm from.
Right.
And that's always so sad because that is definitely one of those situations where legitimately every single person in the world in that entire town knew exactly who his dad was. And we're just like, oh, well, like how awkward, how horrible to just have to walk down the street and be like, oh, yeah. And then my second favorite line in the movie, which is, a bird may love a fish, signore, but where would they live?
And he says, then I will have to make you wings, and she gets wings for the ball. And yeah, and she shows up, and she's so pretty, and the prince is so happy when he sees her. She's wearing
so much facial glitter.
So much glitter. Oh my god. Yes, it's like that is like, I feel like the like costume thing that bothers me most, and I'm like, I don't think they had that. I don't think they had like the body glitter from Claire's in.
Like I definitely did. I know exactly where they bought it. I owned all of it.
Yeah, no, I had that in high school, but, like, they did not have that in 15-16, I don't think.
I think what people have to realize is that in 1998, we were very glittery for no reason at all times. Like, for the day. Right. That was the thing. I would get ready to go to school in the morning and would put on glitter to go to high school. Yeah. It's like 6:30 in the morning and I'm like, well, time roll for my on body this glitter.
Right. And like, it's generally the case that if you look at most medieval or Renaissance paintings, that the people who are in them are dressed like they're in the Middle Ages or the Renaissance, even if the painting's supposed to be like Jesus and it's supposed to be like biblical.
Exactly, yeah.
They're still like, yeah, like you wear this Renaissance dress. So in the same way, this movie that takes place in the Renaissance from 1998 is like, yeah, she just has a lot of glitter.
She's going to this fancy party. She's going to wear glitter. Body glitter. She doesn't have a mask so that he can recognize her easily, so she's just got glitter.
So you can recognize her across the entire room. Like, I have terrible eyesight.
She was sparkling.
Right?
She was sparkling in the torchlight.
But, like, how does he know that it's her? Like, I can't recognize people from that distance. Anyway, but yeah, so he does, and it's very nice, and he's very happy.
Love. Although I guarantee that if my husband appeared at that distance, we've been married a while, and I'd still probably be like, I think that's my husband.
Right? Is that you?
Honey? Huh? I'll just wave. I'll wave and see what happens.
Right. And I love that after all of that whole interaction and the fact that he realized, she was trying to tell me something and I was like running roughshod over her, and then he does the exact same thing.
She says, can we go somewhere? I have to tell you something. And he's like, no, I have to introduce you to everyone I know.
Right. And he's like, no, I really have to talk to you. And he's like, no, it's fine. Whatever it is, it's great. And then the second he finds out, he's like, this is not great. I'm not here for that.
Yeah, Radmilla, like, rips off her beautiful fairy wings.
So mean.
I do like that his initial reaction is basically, like, I'm about 2 seconds away from having you just clapped in irons. Right. And, like, woman... Right.
But then, of course, when he actually finds out it's true, he's like, you're a servant? Fuck you.
Like, ew. Ew, I kissed you. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Even though the second time that they meet, when he thinks that she's Nicole, she's dressed in her servant outfit when she goes swimming.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's like, this is her swimming outfit?
Yeah. He's like, I've never actually seen a woman swim before, so I'm going to assume this is what they do.
Right, yeah. And also, again, like, there are so many red flags about this entire situation. And that, like, when he, like, finally, like, finds out like, he is shocked. Oh my God,
that,
like, there was something weird going on. Wow. And he's, like, a real jerk about it.
Oh, he's terrible. And she runs away. She loses her shoe.
And it starts raining because, of course, it does, because somebody's sad in a romantic comedy.
So she loses all her glitter and her hair comes down, and it's all very sad. Radmilla is, like, taunting her, I guess, like, the next day, basically.
Yes.
Or soon enough, because she says... And she claims that he was going to propose to Marguerite, which, no. That's I don't...
Okay, it's also just, like... He didn't even ask her. Right? Like, isn't the expectation that you, like, ask still? Or at least, like, let them know?
Yeah.
At least, like, you let the family know. At least. Like, you tell them. You tell
there would
somebody.
have been so many arrangements to make.
Right. It's just like, you don't just, like, announce at a party, you want to get married?
No public proposals ever. Not even in the past. Absolutely no. But yeah, she's taunting her, and then, so at this point, I guess that Radmilla still has some belief that there's still a chance for Marguerite, because the servants start calling to Danielle that all their stuff has been returned, because
all
it
the
is
mystery
being returned
household items
by Pierre Lepew, who we meet earlier in the scene in the marketplace, and he is Richard O'Brien from Rocky Horror.
Right.
And he's very creepy. He just kind of exists to be a creep. Gives everyone just is like, ugh, this guy.
Right.
He's very into Danielle in a gross way. And has been very obvious about the fact that, like, I would, figure out your whole financial situation if you would just come be my mistress, basically.
Right. And it's also, like, the whole thing with the household goods is just so gross in terms of Radmilla's situation, is that so she has been selling off all of this shit to Pierre Lepew for, like, the last, like, year or so at least.
Mm-hmm.
Then anytime it, like, is made clear that something is missing, she accuses servants of having stolen it and says, I'm going to take it out of your wages. It's just like, ugh!
The idea that they got wages is a little like, okay.
They actually
would it?
So it depends on what their situation is. Like, if they're actually like people who are like domestic, who are like hired domestic servants, like, yeah, they actually like they have a contract and like they do get paid wages. Yeah.
But yeah, it's every single thing is, she says she's going to take it out. At one point, one of them says to the other, like, you got to stop saying that stuff is going missing.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're going to be paying her.
Right. And it's not that surprising. Like, it's something that I was pretty sure, I mean, I remembered on this watch, obviously, but, like, I'm pretty sure that, like, even the first time I saw it, it's like you could kind of tell something was probably going on like that.
Because she's not too worried about it, and the stuff that happens, it's big items, like the tapestries, mirrors, candlesticks, where she's
just
sort of like,
sneak that out is actually the big question. Like, how do you, like, tapestries are very large. And there's, like, shares that like, they're bringing back, like, when they've got everything, like, on the cart at the end. Yeah. Like, how did she sneak all that stuff out of the house?
Like, you can't just take a tapestry down on your own.
Right.
Like, this isn't a tapestry that you bought on Amazon. Like, this is a massive piece of woven fabric that you're probably going to need other people to help you take down.
And she would have had to, like, get all of these other people out of the house so they wouldn't, like, notice that, like, Pierre Lepew's men were coming and, like, taking down all the tapestries.
Yeah. And then people are noticing because they're like, I walked through the hallway and I was freezing.
Right. And also there, like, wasn't a giant tapestry on it that covered the entire wall.
So you remember how we had these tapestries that have been handed down for a while because they're very expensive?
Yep.
And
we're just gonna not mention those.
He is returning all of these things, and Danielle's just like, well, thanks, that's really nice of you. And he's like, yeah, not so much.
He's like, I am a businessman, not a philanthropist. And Radmilla's like, it's you for all this. I do think I'm getting the better end of the deal. It's like, you're so mean.
And then, it breaks my heart because then Danielle starts flipping out. They start taking, the servants try to grab her back because they're her family, and it's just like, oh. And then I guess the royal family of Spain just came over.
Just popped in for the day.
They got on a train.
Right.
And came over from Spain. And we're like, here we are. Gabriella is not super psyched about getting married to Henri.
Sobbing. And it's very funny sobbing because she's like sort of like gasping and like croaking, and she's like kind of like loses breath in the middle, and it's like, you feel bad for her, but it's also like, this is hysterical.
Like, she kind of will pause and then just start sobbing again.
It's like,
and the king and queen of France are like, this is odd. This seems odd somehow. They start the ceremony, but Henri is just sort of like, wait a minute. And he starts laughing. And
she's basically like pleading with him, like, not to marry her.
She kind of gestures towards this guy that she's actually in love with, who is this sort of like regular dude.
He's balding, like,
Yeah. But she's just like, that one. And he's like, you know what? Go for it, babe. Like,
yeah. And she like runs, she jumps into his arms.
Yeah.
The king and queen of Spain are screaming at each other. And it's like this great moment of like smugness for Francis and Marie. They're like, well, we thought we had problems, huh?
I also like that she's wearing like basically like a Sephora lipstick and is just leaving big lipstick marks all over the sky, which is adorable, but also like, okay.
Right.
Like, there's a scene later when they go to the castle where Radmilla is the full, like, oh, I put all my makeup on, and it looks so awful. Because it would have. Because she's like, oh, I'm going to make my face very white, and my cheeks a little red. And you're like, oh, no, why did we...
Right.
So every time you see a painting of, like, Elizabeth I, you're like, oh, no.
It's like, that's a look. That's a real look.
Oh, okay. That's how I feel about any portrait of anyone with their hairline plucked. I'm like, oh, the choices were made. Ouch. I mean, and
I also have
ouch.
those moments when I look at, like, things from the 80s, I will say. So, you know.
True, but the idea, the plucking of the hairline, I'm just like,
I'm very glad.
Like, can't I just wear a wimple? Let's just go back to, like, let's just do that. I choose this.
Can't we just have more hats? I'll take some hats.
Yeah, like, why do I have to have the hairline as well? I'm also wearing this headdress. Like, can we just keep the hair?
I feel like we're good.
No thanks.
So Danielle's in sex slavery.
Oh my god. So his house, Pierre Lepu's house, is apparently in another plane of existence because it is rainy and gross and spooky.
Yes, it is completely different weather.
So Henri flees his wedding and he finds Jacqueline and he's just, he finds Maurice?
It's Maurice, Jacqueline, and Laurent are like all hanging out together. And Jacqueline tells him that they sold Danielle to Pierre Lepu, and he's like, don't say anything. All will be revealed in due time. And it's like, yeah, we get it. You're gonna like go fetch Danielle and marry her. Like everyone's figured it out. Okay. I do like to imagine that Jacqueline and Laurent were just making out, and Maurice is like, could you not right here? Right?
Like, guy, could you move along?
Or, you know,
like,
Maurice is a pretty cool guy. I could, like, he seems chill. I think he'd be fine with just, like, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be, like, at the front part, like, the front of the carriage, and, like, you guys are gonna be, like, inside the carriage, and you're gonna make out. I think
he would just ask them to get in the carriage. Yeah. That's my only thing.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
But
please, not right here.
Yeah.
Although I do love that when he comes back, he and his wife are completely just like, we are just smooching it up now.
I know.
Like,
it's so nice.
It's so sweet.
Yeah.
I love love. I love to see. I love when old people have love in movies because I feel like we do, you know, have this tendency in our society to be like, no, they don't.
Right.
So it's like, nice. They're married. They love each other.
It's really nice.
Henri basically is like, I'm going to get all the boys and we're going to go. Like, this is a whole mission. This is a whole thing. We're doing this. Meanwhile, Danielle is in chains.
Because she's, like, run away a couple of times already.
Although we have no concept of how much time has gone by whatsoever.
No, we do not. Well, although maybe the idea is that it has been, like, a month, and that's why there was sort of time for all these people to come from Spain.
I guess, like, first of all, for all the messages to get there, for that part is just where it all gets a little sloppy. It's like, they weren't, like, staying in an Airbnb waiting to see if they were going to get married.
And, like, trips take time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, and I know that no one wants to see a movie or a TV show where trips take as long as they're supposed to. Like that.
But they could just be like several months later. Point. Right? But they can just be like 3 months later.
Exactly.
Like I'm all for that. I
also like that Radmilla and Marguerite are at the wedding in black veils, as if no one is going to notice that that's inappropriate.
Marguerite is crying.
Yeah. It's like, ladies, what are you doing?
Subtle. So subtle.
Great. But Danielle just pulls a knife because he's a creep and he's, of course, doing the close sniff of the hair.
Yeah, he's doing the hair sniff. He also compared her to a horse and said, like the horse, you just need to be broken.
Like, they need to get a new metaphor. Right? Because creepy men in movies always say that they're going to break someone like a horse. And it's like, nah, you're not. Is the thing. But
it's just like such a, like, his character is very stereotypical, right? He's very like, he's very much like, these are the like very standard tropes that we do to present a man as a like sexually predatory villain.
Yeah, he is off, like he's off-putting physically. He wears all black.
Yeah.
He makes a lot of references to how endowed he is.
His name is Pierre Lepu.
His name is Pierre Lepu.
you know.
He might as well be named, like, Pierre Le Creep.
Right. Yeah, like, it's, you know, he's not subtle, like, and because, you know, which is interesting, because, like, as I was saying before, like, I think Anjelica Huston's character actually is a little subtle. Like, she has these moments here and there where you kind of, like, see the emotions and see, like, her complicated feelings about her life, and he's not. Like, that's not what they want to do.
The scene where she and Danielle have this moment where she says, I see a lot of your father in you, and she changes it to be an insult, because she says, you know, you're very masculine.
Because, like, we can't do an emotion, right? So it's like she starts in, like, and she's like, I see so much of your father in you. It's like, I see him through your eyes. And she's like, really? And then she's like, oh shit, I forgot that I'm not, that I, like, can't feel love. And then she's like, yes, your features are so masculine.
And she says, you know, well, at one point she says, well, like, did you love my father? And she has this moment, there's a beat where you can tell she's kind of like, well, yeah, I did, and it hurt when his last words were for you, and that he died right away. But she just says, like, I barely knew him. Yeah. Like, again, she has to be like, nope, closing this off.
Right.
Yeah, so Danielle basically holds him at both dagger and sword point.
Uh-huh. And she also slashes him across the face with the dagger, which is very good. It's very satisfying.
And she tells him to give her the key, or she will slit him from navel to nose.
Right, and he's like, I could hang you for this. And she says, not if you're dead.
Yeah. She's like, oh, that'll suck for you.
Yeah, and so, I do really like this from a feminist perspective, that she frees herself, right? And Henri and his dudes show up right as she has just successfully completely freed herself. And so, like, they do nothing, right? And so he doesn't, which I also like, because that means he doesn't get to make that kind of, like, dramatic, like, gallant romantic gesture of rescuing her. He just has to actually, like, fucking apologize like an adult.
Yep. Because she's just sort of like, well, why are you here? And he says, well, we're here to rescue you. And she's like, well, yeah, all right. Moving on.
And she's like, rescue me, a servant.
It's like, wow. That's nice. Great.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he apologizes.
Yeah.
And it's a very sweet moment that I've always loved, because he refers to her as Danielle, and she says, say it again. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And she goes, no, the part where you said my name.
Yeah. Aww. And I like that, you know, he asked, and he actually, like, asked, unlike Marguerite, who he was ostensibly going to marry, he actually asks her to marry him with words. It's like sort of like crying, and then kind of like it turns to laughing, and she like smiles at him, and he's like, that's a yes, right? Yay! And like, they're very, it's very
he's
cute.
Just like, that's yes, like, right? I don't
together.
Understand. He's like, I actually really do not understand women at all.
Right.
Especially
he's like,
you, so please spell this out for me.
Right. He's like, I would like words. I'm maybe not getting words. I feel like we're okay. Yes, we're okay. Okay. Maybe I'm finally going to listen this time.
He's not quite dense or respectful enough to truly be a himbo, but he's on his way.
He's just like,
he's not disrespectful.
Oblivious.
He's just not. Yes.
Right. Like, I feel like that's what it is that he's like a bit spoiled and like selfish and oblivious, which, and I think that is what kind of makes this movie work, is that like you can present him as basically like he's like this because he's like a prince and nobody's ever like told him no except like his father one time.
Yeah, like just on occasion. They head off. Again, to have, like, I guess, like, the world's fastest royal marriage of all time.
Which is also, okay, a royal marriage, like, that must be in secret, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Or, like, somehow it's, like, everybody at court knows except for Camilla.
No one, like, they just didn't get invited.
No, right, and it's like they just haven't heard. Which also must mean, again, that, like, somebody must have either figured out what's happening with Toby Jones, and like he's like in prison, or he's dead because he would have told them.
Yeah.
And that would have ruined the fact that Laurent comes and invites them to an audience at court, to which they are invited to arrive in style. We've got a nice knowing look between Laurent and Jacqueline as she closes the door.
Redmilla and Marguerite and Jacqueline come in. Redmilla is dressed to the nines. She has brought it. She has brought it. She's about to become the mother-in-law of the king.
And this is where she also, like, glides in.
Yes.
Like, the way she enters, she just carries herself with such confidence and poise. And it's, like, it's excellent. Like, Anjelica Huston was like, this is a fantastic role for her.
They come in, and the king and queen are there, and Henry is there, and the king just full-on is like, so, you lied to the Queen of France. Mm-hmm. She's like, what?
Right.
I love that, where she's just like,
I was not expecting this one. I also love it. Like, it's just such a good, like, Marguerite again has really, like, no redeeming qualities that she just immediately throws her mother under the bus. She's like, I had no idea and I am ashamed to call her family.
And they start bickering. He asks if they're always like this, and Jacqueline says they're worse. And yes. She's just like, wait a minute.
Jacqueline, darling, I'd hate to think you had anything to do with this.
And she says, of course not, Mother. I'm only here for the food.
So good! Such a good callback.
And Laurent does this, Laurent is standing with Leonardo da Vinci, and Laurent does this great, like, that's my girl!
I know, right?
Face.
He's like, yeah, that's my girlfriend who's that clever. She did this callback to the scene that I was not in, and she did a good job.
Like, look at that. That's what that, yeah, baby. Like,
the
so
Queen
the
announces.
King is just like, oh yeah, the Queen is just like,
it's that you and your horrible daughter will be stripped of your titles and sent to the Americas unless someone here will speak for them. Which is, like, so staged, clearly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone, it's a very, like, it's again, it's like these are great moments for a big gotcha scene, but it's also, there's a very, not similar, but there's a scene like this on Game of Thrones where, you know, someone thinks something is for one thing, but it's for another, and everyone in the room knows except them, and it's just like, but how would everyone know except, like, wow.
Yeah, like, they just, didn't get the memo.
She looks around, there's a lot of people who are just avoiding her eyes. I do like when she glances at two women who I guess we're supposed to assume are, like, kind of her peers, like, other, you know, women of her probably set, and they're just both like, oh, no, sorry, don't look at me.
Right.
And then someone says that they will speak for her. And everyone curtsies. And Marguerite is just like, what?
And Marguerite gradually curtsies. And I love that Henri, like, really rubs it in. He's, like, smirking. And then he's like, Marguerite, I don't think you've met... Pause. My wife. And just, like, the look on her face is perfect. Like, I really wish she'd done more with her acting career, because I really just think this is an excellent performance.
Oh, yeah, because Danielle comes in, and she's all, you know, gowned and crowned, and she's got the necklace on, and Radmilla kind of realizes it first, because she curtsies and does this sort of, Your Highness, because she recognizes the crown, I assume.
Yeah, she's like, oh, fuck.
And then that's, Henry is just like, ha-ha, surprise.
I like Danielle's line, too, that she says, like, you're going to leave and I'm never going to think of you again. And you are going to remember me every day for the rest of your life. To which she says...
cleaning my sheets.
Right, because first she says, and how long might that be? And then Danielle says that she only asks that the king and queen show them the same courtesy that she has bestowed on me. And I love Anjelica Huston's facial expression, because she's like, oh, fuck, I know what that means.
Yep. And they are in the laundry. They work in the palace laundry, which, to be perfectly frank, looks like a pretty sweet gig if you thought you were going to die. Honestly, if you're not used to hard labor, that's one thing, but you have clothes and food. You guys really got off light. I know you're just allergic to work, but like,
working, like, that is a job that a lot of people would feel very lucky to get.
It reminds me, anything with working in this sort of era reminds me of one of my favorite things that ever happened on Twitter, which was someone started one of those, like, here's a question for everyone, to retweet. Yeah. And it was something about, like, what job would you want in the medieval era? I think they were expecting all the women to basically say, like, princess or queen or something. And I think every single person, myself included, we were all like, nun. I would like to be a nun because I would have somewhere to live and food, and I wouldn't die in childbirth, and I might know how to read. Like,
yeah. I mean, the other one, like, that I always said, that I say, like, when I get things like that, is, like, women actually in England, like, dominated the brewing trade until the 15th century. Yeah. Like, I want to do that. Yeah, I want to brew beer.
Yeah, but it was just hilarious because I really think that they were just thinking everyone was just going to be like, I want to be a lady. And it was just can I just have something where I'm the least likely to starve or
like see
die? Yeah. Can I just have the one where I have to, like, I just can avoid being, like, married to someone I don't want to marry?
Yeah.
I only want to work if I can get the cool feminized version of a last name, like Baxter or something. Yeah. Like, I don't, just... Like, no, I'm good. Can I just do embroidery at the nunnery?
I'll, like,
I don't want to be an abbess. I don't need that kind of responsibility.
Right. Or like, you know, a scribe. There's some book production happening at women's monasteries. That'd be fun. I would be a scribe. I have decent handwriting.
That's like, or, you know, if I could work somewhere where I could just, you know, like, again, I'm reasonable at embroidery. I could just, you know, I'm sure there's a guild that I could, you know, be part of somewhere. Like, nah, I'm good.
Right. That is, of course, not how this movie ends. They live happily ever after, and Da Vinci did a nice painting of her. And we learned that this painting we learned from her great-great-granddaughter that the painting hung in the university up until the Revolution.
Which I like that they just kind of like skip over that real quick. They're
it's like yes, at which point their remains were probably taken out and shoved into a mass grave. Yeah.
Like, I'm fine because I fled. Right.
She's
my mother fled.
Yes, yeah, she must be like right. It's like so we're like a little like side branch of the noble family, of the royal family, which is why we are not dead.
Yeah. I get to have this title because I'm technically, you know, a princess, but let's not really discuss it. This is a little later. Like, we're just gonna move on from this. Mm-hmm. I appreciate that at least, you know, I mean, Jean Moreau actually French. So that part's actually nice. They're like, hey, what if we get a French person?
Right, like the one French person.
The Brothers Grimm just like leave and are like, that was weird.
Right. They're like, okay, I mean, I'm not going to rewrite the story, but like that was fun.
And she said they did live happily ever after, but the point is that they lived.
Yes. Or did they?
Yeah.
So
that's the thing.
The next segment that I typically do is the ver et falso, where I talk about what they got right and wrong. The dates in the historical figures are fuzzy. There is a King Francois I of France who did in fact bring Leonardo da Vinci to France, where he resided from 1516 to 1519, and it is the case that he did bring his paintings, like that's why they're all in the Louvre. The problem is that Francois' actual son, Henri, was born in 1519, which is the year that Leonardo da Vinci died.
Oops.
I also will note his mother is named Claude, not Marie, and my assumption is that basically they were like, no one will know that Claude used to also be a woman's name.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also with any of these figures, they were probably just like, what was literally every French king named?
Right.
And the answers were Francis, Henri, or Louis. We aren't turning to Louis yet.
Yeah, but this actually, like, it works in that, like, oh yeah, like, timing-wise, it works for, like, it's Francois I and the future Henri II, but yes, but so then you have the realities of, you know, first of all, his mother, but more importantly, his wife, who I will talk about more in a moment, that he really did enter into an arranged marriage with Catherine de Medici. So also not a Spanish princess.
Talk about your marriages, though.
Yeah, well, I'm going to talk more in a moment about Catherine de Medici. But I wanted to make a couple other notes about things that are maybe not quite right. So Thomas More's Utopia, again, we're kind of fuzzy on our dates here, because Utopia was published in 1516, which is the year Da Vinci arrived, which is 10 years after she got the book. Mm-hmm. She got a real early edition, I guess.
Her dad backed him on Kickstarter.
Right.
And he got an early copy.
And while we do have an accurate quote from Utopia, we really gloss over the fact that, so the book definitely says enslavement of foreigners is cool and all families should have a couple of slaves.
Yeah.
That there was heavy punishment for premarital sex and adultery, and that women are supposed to be subject to their husbands, because Thomas More is an asshole.
Yeah, no, he was terrible.
And
everyone makes a big deal about how his family was like, they're all educated. It's like, yeah, and subjugated. And...
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, and like that's basically what he says it should be in Utopia, is that like, I mean, girls can read as long as they're still subject to their husbands.
Like, like, great work, Thomas.
Uh-huh. I do think it's interesting, as we talked a little bit about class, I think it is interesting that there's this like real like kind of anxiety about downward social mobility that's coming out, and that was something that was a real source of anxiety. That being said, my sense is actually that in France specifically, the debt slavery thing was not actually a thing that was considered to be legitimate, that this is something that's actually happening in England at this time. But my understanding from what I was able to figure out, and again, this is not quite my period or my region, but that in particular, like, France actually has pretty strict laws in the 16th century against, like, the selling of slaves on French soil, even if they're then destined to go elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So especially when you're talking about, like, enslaved, like, white French people.
Yeah.
That seems like it would be not something that would actually be happening in France, although, as I said, it would be happening in other places. We've got some good historical jokes, but again, they're a little off in terms of the years. So I love the line, divorce is only something they do in England. I crack up every time. However, so again, if we take the year as being like 1516 is when Da Vinci arrived, England still does not do divorce and would not until the 1530s, being at least like the kind of earliest date where you can say that, since that is when Henry VIII would basically say, fuck it, and break from the Roman Catholic Church to divorce Catherine of Aragon and marry Anne Boleyn. But I like the bit. Similarly, Da Vinci is like, oh, I'm just a second choice. Michelangelo's trapped under a ceiling in Rome. He's no longer trapped under a ceiling in Rome. He stopped being trapped under the Sistine Chapel ceiling in 1512 when he finished it.
Maybe it was just shade. He was like, he should still be trapped under that. I don't know about it.
Yeah, it could just be shade. And it's like a snarky comment in general. And like, clearly, he wasn't actually the second choice. And I took that as being like a joke as opposed to a literal comment. Mm-hmm. I also looked up the origins of rock, paper, scissors, because there's a bunch of like people playing rock, paper, scissors. And I was like, cool, is rock, paper, scissors. And rock, paper, scissors, surprisingly, apparently does go back perhaps as far as like the 3rd century CE, but in China, and was not known in Europe until I think, as far as I could tell, like the 20th century.
Yeah. I mean, and that I think is, as soon as you read that anything originated in China, you're like, okay, so we did not get that for a while. Like, they were very good about being like, nope.
Yeah, and like there's a couple things here and there, like gunpowder via the Islamic world is something that like is accessible by the 14th century. I always look it up and I always forget the exact date. But rock, paper, scissors, not so much. But there are a couple of things that I think are done well. While chocolate would have been a drink rather than a brick, I do like that they comment on the fact that chocolate is something that would have been unfamiliar. And while we're probably a little early for it to be in France, it is something that would have been probably like the fashion in Spain at around this time, and that it does like basically kind of move out to other places from Spain.
And I guess we can also sort of then tie that into, if they've been talking about these treaties, maybe Spain is just sending all kinds of goodies to kind of, you know, sweeten the deal. Because he does say this, the monks keep sending it. So let's just assume that they're, like, hey, we got this princess, and also...
Yeah, like in this alternate universe where they're really pushing this France-Spain alliance, I will buy the Spanish, like, sending them chocolate to sweeten
I
the
love
deal.
Drinking chocolate, though.
But should have been drinking chocolate.
Oh, so good.
And I like that they have a pig hunting truffles that Danielle is with, which, honestly, if that's something like that she is doing at their manor, that's probably, like, why they haven't starved yet.
Yep.
But that is something that is certainly documented in writing and in the visual arts from at least the 15th century onward, and is probably an older practice. I also like that in terms of the material culture, that there's this real emphasis on the actual social and economic, like the economic value of textiles and of other household goods, because at this point that would have been a lot of the form that people's wealth actually took, would have been basically very kind of like durable, high quality clothing, linens, like bed linens, things like tapestries and candlesticks. That would have been a lot of where people's wealth is actually kind of residing. And so I like that the film kind of emphasizes that. As mentioned before, we have our friend Catherine de Medici, who is the real person who married this Prince Henri of France. I wanted to talk a bit more about her in the section I call the Historia ad Veritas, where I discuss a real historical person, event, or phenomenon. First of all, Henri married at age 14. He's not just like running around like flirting with people. Well, he actually is running around flirting with people, but he's not running around deciding whether to marry people at the age of 25, because he married Catherine de Medici when they were both only 14 years old in 1533.
Ugh.
Catherine belongs to the Medici family of Florence, which is ruling the city on and off. At this particular moment, it's off. And the reason Catherine got to make a pretty good marriage is, first of all, that at the time that the marriage happens, she's not necessarily like expecting to be queen because Henri has an older brother whose name I don't remember who dies, but also that her uncle is the Pope, Clement VII, so that helps make her this pretty solid marriage. The problem then being that he dies, and that then the next Pope is not related to her and doesn't give a shit, and then basically like reneges on the contract and is like, yeah, no, I'm not fucking paying the rest of this dowry.
Oh, these popes.
These popes. So Francois is like not happy about this situation, and Henri also just like does not have any interest in this woman whatsoever. Whether it's a personal thing, whether it is because Catherine is generally not described as being conventionally attractive, whatever it is, he is sleeping around a lot and has a lot of mistresses. The most long-standing one is actually, so they get together, I believe, when he's 19 and she is 38. And that is Diane de Poitiers, who he ends up essentially like treating as like a pseudo-queen for a while, for basically much of his reign. And she doesn't even consider Catherine like a threat, which I feel like is the most insulting thing. That she's just like, yes. Yeah, no, like you should spend time with her. Like, you know, your heirs are like, that's where your heirs are going to come from. Like, obviously, you know, you have sex with her occasionally and have some kids. Like, that's fine. I don't care.
Like, don't worry about it.
Especially once Henri's brother dies and he's like, actually is like, oh, I have to produce an heir. Their marriage doesn't seem to have like gotten happier, but I guess they're having what is very possibly like dour, unpleasant sex a lot because they have 10 children, and I think 8 of them survive to at least past infancy.
You just all of a sudden your husband is just like, I guess I'll have sex with you now.
Right. Like, I don't like you, but I will fuck you so that you can like give birth every 5 minutes.
Like, oh, thanks. I'm real glad I left Italy for this.
Right. And also, you know, this is, I think we kind of hinted this before, but dying in childbirth is a real thing, I will just note. And this poor woman gives birth, I think she gives birth 9 times, because I think the last one is a pair of twins. Yeah,
it was, yeah.
Oof.
Which even that at the time, I'm just like, no, thank you.
Yeah. She becomes queen consort in 1547, but that doesn't, like, really involve a lot of real power. But then Henri dies in a jousting accident, which I always love when that happens. I'm like, how fucking stupid are you? That, like, how do you just, like, not do that? And, like, a lance, like, splinters and goes into his eye.
That is, and I get that, you know, it's the culture thing, and it's, you know, they have to do these things, they have to prove it, but it's the same as, you know, the theory that Henry VIII got, you know, a brain injury in the jousting accident, and that's why he becomes, seems like such a sea change in his later life. Right. It's like, who the hell is letting the king just joust for kicks? Right,
like, this is clearly a terrible idea, and yeah, Henri II is a very good example of that, because yeah, he's fucking dead.
Oh.
And Catherine will gradually gain some influence now that she is a mother of kings. By which, yes, I do mean kings, plural. Because, the next generation is, I guess, not so fertile. 3 of her sons become king, so that's Francois II, Charles IX, and Henri III. She has some amount of power and influence. It's interesting with Francois in particular that there's this kind of weird battle that's happening for power in part with, like, some other families, but also with her husband's wife, who is Mary Queen of Scots. Or who will become Mary Queen of Scots, you know, per. In the sense that she is somebody who has some amount of power, particularly during the reign of her son Charles. She's the one who gets blamed for the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre, where they decided to just murder a bunch of Protestants, more or less for fun.
Yep, including her son-in-law.
Yes.
Everyone see the movie Queen Margot? It's great.
Yes. Yeah. Well, her son-in-law made it, but they tried to murder him.
That's right, yeah. But
because he then becomes king.
Like, ma'am.
Yeah. Queen Margot is also very fun. I like that movie.
That is also why it is all the more hysterical that this was the basis of a television show on the CW, because Catherine de Medici is a character on Reign. Played by Megan Follows, Anne of Green Gables herself.
Interesting.
And her best friend and partner in crime for most of the first and second seasons is a very young, sexy Nostradamus.
Interesting. Okay, so there's also this weird novel that I don't remember offhand what it's called, but that she's like buddies with Nostradamus, and through Nostradamus, Catherine de Medici gets the head of Menander the Magi, which is like a monkey's paw wish thing, essentially. and she wishes that all of her sons will be king. And then it's like, the joke's on you. They're all going to die and they're all going to be the king of the same country.
It becomes kind of funny on Reign because I think they sort of keep producing more of their actual children that existed, right. But there's very little reference to any of them initially because it's all about the romance between Francis and Mary, and they just occasionally will be like, also my brothers and sisters, yeah. Don't
worry about it.
And then once Francis dies, they're just suddenly like, oh right, here's this one.
Right, and then this one.
Like, here's Charles. Oh, there's another Henry somewhere. We keep him over there.
Right.
It's like, what? Every so often, Catherine's like, all my kids that I have.
Yeah, there's like a big old collection of kids. Because, there's 10. One of them, actually, one of her kids does end up marrying the King of Spain. Her daughter Elizabeth marries King Philip II.
Oh,
so we do finally get the according to this movie, long-awaited French-Spanish marriage alliance.
I do like whenever I just go on like a Wikipedia wormhole and, people have all these children. I do enjoy when you get to the ones that just are married to some random like Duke or something where you can tell they were just like, I don't know. How many children do we have?
It's like, fuck.
There's so many of these.
Right.
Just marry that one off to him, I guess.
Is that
it's
one
fine.
Not married yet? Fuck.
Can we, I don't know. Like Elizabeth Woodville, they had so many children. I think eventually they were just like, I don't know, that one's a nun too.
Don't worry about it.
Just, oh my god, why do we have so many kids?
Catherine also, I will note, gets a reputation for being a poisoner, which I feel like is mostly because she's a woman and she's Italian.
Yeah, I think that was basically, they were just like, seems kind of suspicious if you ask me. She's going, what?
Yeah.
I beg your pardon?
She lived until 1589, which means that she just missed by 8 months seeing the last of her sons, Henri III, being assassinated and replaced on the throne by Henri IV. Who is at the time her son-in-law, but who will eventually not be her son-in-law. In a decade, they end up annulling the marriage. They don't have kids. And Henri then marries Marie de Medici, who is Catherine's, like, 4th cousin or something.
Well, it's like how, Henry VIII couldn't get enough of those Howards.
Right, yeah.
And he's like, more Howards for me. And it was like, no, what are you doing?
I mean, also, like, what the fuck are you doing, like... Thomas, Duke of Norfolk, who is like, I have an idea. Like, the king only murdered one of my nieces. Maybe he should marry another one?
And meanwhile, that one's going, hi, I'm a child, and I'm going to make poor child decisions.
Yeah, because I'm fucking, like, 15. Oh my god. Ugh.
The worst.
The real wife of Henri is, like, not Cinderella. But she is also interesting.
No. Yeah, very much so. I mean, come on. Yeah, I think it's more interesting than if she was Cinderella, honestly.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a reputation as a poisoner.
Right?
Just because I feel like people would leave me alone.
Right? It's like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying I poison people.
Know. You could come to my house.
People, though. Mm-hmm.
You could not come to my house because I might poison you.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know.
Because I'm a woman and I'm Italian.
Maybe you should be nicer to me. I don't know.
I'm just saying. I think especially at that time, I would definitely want to cultivate some kind of reputation like that. Just enough where no one's going to really accuse you of anything, queen or not, but just enough where everyone's going to be a little afraid of you.
Yeah.
Because that's what you've got.
Especially if, like, you're pretty important. You just want to be, like, quietly, like, I don't know, maybe she's a poisoner. I don't know.
It's just maybe. I mean, you just gotta have a slow, just keep it around sort of a, like, line in winter. I'm just, like, I'm Eleanor of Aquitaine and I'm mad. I'm just really mean and you don't know what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. We all have knives.
We all have knives. Though I will say, Eleanor often gets tired of having murdered Rosamund, which would have been very hard because she died when she was in prison.
Yeah. I guess she called somebody. It's like, a mob hit. She's like, hey. So many of those things, like when, you hear stuff for so long and then you look at dates and you're like, what's the...
Yeah.
Like,
which is, like, very much this movie, right? Is that, like, there's a lot of this movie. A lot of this movie is very much one of these, like... So everything in the 16th century happened at the same time, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of just, we're going to put in history that people know about. Like, everyone knows about Henry VIII and his divorce. It's very famous. Like, it's a piece of history people know.
And it's a good joke.
And we'll just, like, we'll put this joke in there because that way it'll be funny.
Yeah.
And I think that, it's just one of the things that comes with any time that there is sort of generally almost like popular history that everyone knows. Like the time that my friend and I were buying tickets to see Marie Antoinette and the guy taking the ticket said, they cut her head off, right? And we're like, well, yes, we do.
We know.
Note that. Thank you. Thank you very much. But with movies like this, I always wonder if it behooves them at all to have made it even vaguely real people. Like, why they couldn't have just had, like, King Claude and Prince Philippe or something and just move it along. You could still make the jokes. You could still have, Leonardo da Vinci and everything. Yeah. But just, once you start actually looking things up and going, like, well, Prince Henri wasn't born yet, and this thing and that thing. But that's any historical...
Right. And I feel like that's really common, including even things that are much more even fantastical than this, that they are like, that they go out of their way to be like, this takes place in exactly the year 984, and then it's like, and the King of England is a jerk who, like, does magic, and then it's like, no, the King of England's, like, a real person, and we know who was King of England in 984.
The issue also comes, like, when you start immediately having any kind of royalty connection, it starts to fall apart because because we know who is in charge, and I think that it's more interesting to just kind of have it be a nebulous, either just a sort of nameless, because the same thing happens in A Knight's Tale when it's suddenly like, what's up, Prince Edward right here, and you're like, what no, don't give me a specific person.
And he's at least a minor enough character and does little enough that I feel like it like sort of works there because like it just doesn't
shows
matter
up in
that
leather.
Much. Yeah.
Or you just have it be kind of a known thing. It's why, like, I think we talked about this movie earlier, but the fact that Robin Hood Prince of Thieves does not have John in it. They were just like, we're just going to leave that out. Richard shows up at the end because it's a funny cameo.
Right. And it's interesting because then they reintroduce John in Men in Tights, which is largely parodying. I'm just parodying a couple of Robin Hoods, but I would say the most direct reference is definitely Prince of Thieves.
Yeah, but obviously Disney's Robin Hood, which is where I definitely learned about Prince John. And also features Sir Hiss, the best snake in popular culture. Yes. He wears a tiny cape, and I don't know how he gets it on, but I love it.
My one sadness about that movie is that, like, you have all these bits where, like, John's, like, mommy issues, but we never actually get to see Eleanor of Aquitaine.
Yeah, right? She's like, I am here causing every mommy issue you could imagine.
I would have loved to have Lioness Eleanor of Aquitaine in that movie.
I will say that I do not blame her a bit for basically being like, I hate all of you. Yeah. This sucks. You all suck. You're a terrible family. I hate this.
Right. I really like In Lion in Winter, which is a great movie where she's just like, I don't like my children. It's like, no fair.
Look at Dick.
Like, look at them.
I those are like their best moments. Is her and they're just both like, look at this family. Like, no wonder we are having all of this going on. Like, I'm just gonna go back to prison now because yikes. I think sometimes it does help to just sort of have it be a vague sort of like, I don't know, CAD file-esque. Sometimes it's Steven, sometimes it's Maud. We're not sure.
Right.
We're all just trying to keep up.
We don't really need to worry about it. Like, you barely see them. Yeah.
We are just trying to keep up.
Yeah.
Day to day.
So that actually is kind of a good lead-in talking about these, like, weird historical choices. That I have a segment where we do the Fabula Nostra, where we talk about a film perhaps inspired by this one that we would like to make maybe in addition to rather than instead of, because I actually really like this movie.
Yeah. I would love more. I do like this sort of generalized kind of Ren Fair Renaissance era. I wish that there were a few more things that were set in there. It's one of the same reasons that I think my roommate and I, it was like this and Dangerous Beauty were kind of in the loop, because we were just like, we are very into this whole idea. It's not quite, medieval, can seem a little more dour, like we're all a little, like women are doing less.
Which is funny, because in the real Middle Ages, women actually arguably were doing better in the Middle Ages than they were in the Renaissance. Very true. But,
Very, very true. That was something I realized in college when I was writing papers. It was suddenly like, oh, wait a minute. Yikes, this has all been wrong.
Yeah, no, the Italian Renaissance is like not great for ladies. It was not.
No, you get tricked. You get tricked by that kind of stuff. Like, you read, like, the Decameron, and you're like, everyone's just having a great time. And then you're like, oh, wait, no, they weren't, actually.
Not so much. Well, it's also because the Decameron is really 14th century, and people are like, it's good, though, so it must be the Renaissance. And it's like, actually, it's kind of not.
It's not. And you just read it in college, and you have to have like very serious literary conversations about just endless fuck jokes. Like we get it.
I mean, just also basically the Canterbury Tales are like also a lot of sex jokes.
Well, that was really what came, like, I that was, like, sort of, like, the paper was that I wrote a paper on the Wife of Bath's Tale, and ended up reading a lot about women actually, like, working. Yeah. And was like, oh, wait, holy shit, like, like, amazing. So Why don't we learn this? Yeah. Like, but I would love to have more, I wish that we would do more fairy tale adaptations that are not just live action versions of Disney movies or gritty, grim, dark, or like cutesy, like tongue-in-cheek Once Upon a Time type deals. Right. I feel like a Sleeping Beauty set in this era would be so good. It would be like just so like sumptuous, and I think that you could just do so much and set it in this kind of vaguely, it's not magic, but, you know, we're all kind of vaguely doing science, and that's kind of magic because of the time period.
Alchemy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's fun. It's fine. And I like that it is actually, like, very feminist, especially for a movie in 1998 that is a fairy tale adaptation.
I mean, I think that is one of the things I loved about it, is that it's, like, I was still of an age where, like, I really kind of liked that sort of thing, but also I was like, oh, but, like, this actually, like, doesn't hate women.
And it was, I think, also for me, it was very much an ongoing need I wanted female protagonists. It's why when I discovered the Song of the Lioness, I was like, holy shit, this is what I needed. Yeah. Because growing up, loved Star Wars, loved fantasy, you know, and it was always inevitably, we had Princess Leia, and then that was it. Yeah. You know, it was just for years, it was always like, I love the movie Willow, but the only female character in that is bad and only turns good because of a dude. Yeah. Anything, like, even just reading a lot of fantasy, it was always like, well, there's this woman, but she's the love interest, or this is that. And then discovering those books, it was like, wait, a girl is the main character of these books? Yes. And, like, she makes problematic choices with her sex life, but she, like, has an independent sex life.
And her, like, weird obsession with older men, which is clearly Tamara Pierce's obsession with older men.
Well, I mean, I will say this for that. I know you already had this discussion, but, like, my big thing has always been that at least there is no part in the Song of the Lioness quartet that is like the part in the third Wild Magic book where Numar is basically just like, what if I'm a bad boy? And you're like, oh, nope. Numar! You are like 15 years older than her.
Absolutely not.
And this is not 15 years older where she's 22 and you're 37.
Right. And he's also in, like, more of a, like, he is, like, her, like, teacher, and that, like, aches me out in a way that is, like, different from the relationships in Song of the Lioness. Yeah, anyway.
Exactly. Also, because there is also just the one that has always stuck with me is that there is the moment where Dane is harassing him about kind of being kind of a man whore, and she says something, and he's basically like, what do you know about it? I was doing that when you were 6. And it's like
that doesn't make me feel better.
I need you to stop what you're thinking about right now, Numar. I need you to go somewhere else. Yeah. Dane, I need you to go to another dimension and just stay there. Yeah. Ugh. Just stay there. And it is, again, one of those things that when I read that book when I was 16, I was like, hey. And then I read it again when I was 20. I went, oh.
No. No.
But but that it was, like, Ever After definitely, like, slotted into that kind of, you know, it's a historical fantasy type deal, and the main character is a woman. Yeah. And she does cool stuff, and she gets, like, a hot floppy-haired dude, which, you know, hey.
It's great. Inspired by the fact that there's, like, 5 million Cinderella sequels, I totally would want the sequel to this where we just continue with a weird alternate universe, and it's, like, Danielle trying to, like, oddly pressure her own children into arranged marriages, and then also trying to, like, deal with a bunch of Catholic Protestant conflicts.
She's like, so Princess Gabriella and her husband actually somehow became the king and queen of Spain, right? And they have some kids,
right? So, like,
so we're gonna try this again.
And it's like, yes, no, yeah, exactly. Maybe you can then have, like, the other, like, alternate universe, like, I don't know, some kind of fairy tale that's, like, the next generation. Like, it's like Beauty and the Beast or something. And it's, like, her daughter, Elizabeth, who, like, in real life has to marry Philip II of Spain, who is fucking the worst. Like, maybe we can do, like, the fairy tale version where, like, she gets to marry somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. Or, you know, he doesn't turn out to be that bad because
Or
it's
actually,
a fairy tale.
so that would actually, I feel like, make the Beauty and the Beast, like, the Beast is kind of like, I feel like that would actually make it work as if the choices are between the Beast and Philip II of Spain.
Yeah, at a certain point, you start looking at just historical figures, and you're like, "Oh no, thank you.
Yeah, no,
I'm okay."
no. So yeah, that's
in retrospect, I'd like to say no.
Yeah. So,
Basically, any Habsburg, I'm like, "Oh no, thank you.
no,
I don't need any of that
oh,
near me.
no. Yeah.
I don't need to not have children for decades and have it be blamed on me for some reason."
Okay, also,
look
by
at
the
this.
way, speaking of the Habsburgs, so the actual two princesses of Spain both married their first cousins.
Oh, there.
Like, there were two, I believe their names are, like, Maria and Juana, and yeah, like, one married her first cousin who was the Holy Roman Emperor, the other married her first cousin who was the King of Portugal.
Remember, I forget if it was late 2019 or early 2020 when there were just suddenly, like, Habsburgs on Twitter who were like,
Yes.
"Here's my thought as a Habsburg." And I'm like, no one is asking for this, friends. Gentlemen, no thank you.
There's also a guy, by the way, who's like one of these dudes who's like, I am the heir to the throne of France, and it's like, that's nice. And it's also like, you look him up and you Google him and you look up more detail, and it's also like, and he is also the grandson of Francisco Franco, and it's like, I'm sorry,
Yes.
fucking what?
Like, oh, I think that negates
that just negates everything. Yeah, no, I don't want you on any throne.
It's like any time that what's-her-face granddaughter Mussolini there is like, I have thoughts, and it's like, oh,
no, thank you. I don't want to hear them. I'm good.
That's charming for you. I'm gonna need you to just go over there with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just remember that there was like a week where it was just like battling Habsburg heirs on Twitter, and I was like, this is precisely the world in which I want to live. Like, this is amazing.
Yes.
And no one asked for these opinions. Yeah. Like, no one asked for your thoughts on COVID-19, but here it is.
Right.
It's like, if anyone in your family, when autopsied, didn't have organs, I think you don't get to talk about health.
Yeah! Although, that does mean the Habsburgs are potentially, like, very susceptible to COVID-19. So if they're arguing in favor of, like, more precautions, you know, maybe that's a good thing.
That is still, to this day, I remember reading some piece on that. It was just like, oh, ew, what? They're like, yeah, his heart was this big, and it's like, oh.
Nope.
Thank you, but no thank you. Someone had to marry him. Like, prayers. Like,
lots of prayers.
We're just gonna have a little prayer circle for you, ma'am. I know you've been dead for many, many years, many centuries, but I'm still putting it out there for you. Like, I'm sorry. I'd like to go back in time and say, I'm very sorry.
Don't marry a Habsburg. At this point, you should probably rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 5 based on whatever criteria you see fit.
I would say that it is, for me, probably a 5 because it's so rewatchable.
Yeah.
It's such a comfort movie. Like, this is definitely, like, a sick day, just, I want to put something on movie. I own it, but yet, when I saw that it was on Disney Plus, I was very excited because I was like, that's even more convenient than putting a DVD into a DVD player because... that's where we've come to as a society.
Yeah, I actually bought it on Amazon like a couple of years ago, and every time I'm like, yes, I have a digital copy of this that I own.
Yeah, and it's just one of those movies that if it's on, I'm just like, I know every beat of this, and here we go. It's so good.
Yeah.
And it's a movie that obviously, like, who knows what the kids will be watching. Like, my daughter is 4. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely a movie that I would feel completely comfortable showing her.
Yeah.
Sometimes you rewatch movies from your youth and you go, oh, I forgot about that. Or I watched this. I remember being, like, 6 years old and watching Ghostbusters. And I don't think I would let her watch it when she's 6, just for some of the content. But this one where I'm probably going to be that mom going, isn't it great? This movie's great.
And it's also like, this is,
movie?
Especially for a movie from the 90s, it also, I feel like, is, like, it really actually kind of holds up as a movie that, like, centers on women and has, like, a bunch of female characters who are, like, depicted in different ways and have distinct personalities, which is so rare, especially for movies set in the Middle Ages, where, like, I came up with a test for this podcast. It's the only bar lower than the Bechdel test, which is that there has to be one named female character character who doesn't die. And I've watched multiple movies that don't pass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's a very good point, is that, I mean, other than her father, which we know is going to happen because it's a Cinderella story.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, there's not a lot of death.
Yeah, like, there's really not any.
So, yeah, I'd probably give this a 4.5 just because I feel obligated to take off, like, a half point for historical messiness. But,
fair.
But it's like, I love this movie.
I mean, I would probably also just, at this point, watching it the other night as I did, I had forgotten the, abundant usages of the G word, but it's a movie from 1998, and time-wise, I think it's not entirely inaccurate. It's not as if they were making a movie set in 2021.
Right.
But I had forgotten that, so there was just a moment where I was just like, wait, what? Oh, goodness.
Yeah, and that's pretty common, I would say, for, like, movies that are made in the 90s, early 2000s. Like, I've seen a number of them that continue to use that term. So, like, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Disney one, yeah.
The fact that it's still, to this day, the fact that that's a Disney movie. This is just astonishing.
It really is. Megan, are there places where people could find you on the internet?
Yes, so I am the co-host of Let's Get Weirding, a Dune podcast with my friend Bo North, where we are reading Frank Herbert's Dune series chapter by chapter. We also, I am told, are too woke, but hey, you know what? That's the way it is. I write for the Spool.net. I do reviews and recaps of television and movies. And you can find me on Twitter at MPSunday, where I am just full of nonsense. And my website is megansunday.com, where I have a couple of things written that are up there. They're, okay, I'm starting out. It's new.
Awesome. Cool. Well, yes, everybody should check all of those things out. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe in your preferred podcatcher app and rate and review Media-eval on Apple Podcasts. I'll read new 5-star reviews in future episodes. Please also follow the podcast on Twitter at Media-eval-pod and join our Facebook group. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sarah F. Decker. If you have any questions or suggestions, I would love to hear from you via email at media.evalpod@gmail.com. Thank you again, Megan, for coming on.
Thank you. This is so much fun.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody for listening to Media-eval. Bye.
Bye.
You, sir, are supposed to be charming.
And we, princess, are supposed to live happily ever after.
Says who?
Do you know? I don't know.